The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Assemble! You're watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you stick with us. We'll take it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our riddle inside of an enigma trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
There it is. That's what I'm talking about. Next, he's the backbone, the pillar, the strength of Fantastic Forum, our nigh invulnerable brawler and resident strongman, Moses Magnum.
Hi.
There it is. Shout out to Oz. He's not here yet, but he's on the way. So our intrepid senior reporter will be here in just a moment. And as for myself, my name is Lawrence Young. They call me Mayor Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We got a great show for you today because we are going to be talking to you all about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And we are going to also be giving you a review of Fantastic Four, #1, the latest volume of Fantastic Four from Marvel Comics. So we'll be talking about all of that. And of course, whatever else it is that you all want to talk about. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him, this entire show would not have happened. So shout out to Scott Rubin. And yeah, I guess we should just go ahead and get right into how it is you can get down with Fantastic Forum. So if you want to get down with the show and give us your opinion on Black Panther, Fantastic Four #1, or anything else inside the comic space, geek culture, here's how you're going to be able to do it.
Want to get in on the action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
You know you want to. I agree. Thank you, intern, for your hard, dedicated work. We appreciate you. So, yeah, gents, happy to be here. It's going to be an interesting time.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. What's happened?
Kimberly Herron passed away. She was the ghost, the blowjob ghost in Ghostbusters.
The blowjob ghost?
Yeah. You don't remember the blowjob ghost?
I don't. There was a ghost giving a blowjob in Ghostbusters?
Yeah. Basically, it's during one of the montages, and Dan Aykroyd's in bed, and his pants start unzipping and like being pulled down, and then he makes like a face that would suggest he just got a blowjob from a ghost.
I believe I remember that scene now. Do they show the ghost?
Yeah. Like, they show her at the beginning for like a little bit, and then it goes to him waking up, and she's not there, but then the pants get undone.
Okay, because yeah, so the zipping and all that other stuff happens. She's invisible,
right?
But before she turns invisible, there's a ghost.
Yeah,
and the woman that was that ghost has passed away.
Yes.
Okay. I like. That's always sad when a person passes away.
That and Kevin Conroy.
I mean, yeah, that did happen over the course of this week too.
And Gallagher.
And Gallagher. Yeah. Sheesh.
And she was so funny. Like, I loved him.
I've never heard any of his comedy.
Dude, he had this one joke where, like, he's like a really active performer, and he would like do like backflips and all this shit.
Yeah.
And one of his older sets, he's like, "Yeah, the body's like a weird thing. Like, sometimes you can't do stuff that you used to do, but you don't know you can't do it until you did it. Like, I did a backflip and my body was like, oh, you can't do that anymore."
Yeah. Nah, Gallagher was funny, man.
Yeah.
And
he was the one that was like talking about paper towels and napkins, and he unfolds the napkins and the napkin, and he has a square paper towel, and he's like, "What world are we in where this is for your hands?" And he holds up the napkin, and then he holds up the square, and this is for your butt.
yeah. I tell you, man. Yeah. Some tough losses. Kevin Conroy, that hurts. Like,
not after that episode of Crisis. Like,
see, don't do that. Don't do that, Moses. Stop this. I'm not saying that was one of his finer moments. I'm saying, why are we bringing that up right now? Goddamn. Listen. Even the messed up part is I've seen people that were like, "Oh, Kevin Conroy passed away," and the picture they use is from Crisis on Infinite Earths from the friggin' Arrowverse. And I'm like, why would you use that picture? Like, you know that dude has, like, the dude is a sickly Batman in the show. Like, why are we doing that? Like, why would we not use like a Kevin Conroy headshot? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's make this dude look as good as he can look since he's gone. Instead, they're like, oh yeah, let's put him in that. I mean, I get it. They're like, it's the one time he got to play Batman live action, but that's not really the highlight. Like, we should not mess with that.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't speak.
Hey, listen, even when you say that, you're doing it. I need you to talk. Look, I need you to start talking about your favorite Batman the Animated series episode right now, Moses, or else.
Well, honestly, like, if I were to give him an impromptu tribute, like, yeah, there's one episode that really got me as a little kid, like, actually thinking about who does the voices for these things, and then I started looking at voice actors as like performers, and it was the one with the Man Bat where he's Batman, and then he gets a phone call, and he just turns into Bruce Wayne just in the voice, but as Batman, and it's like there's two different voices he does here, and I thought that was like, as a little kid, it was great, and I was like, and now it's still great, like going back and seeing all the different voices he's done as Batman, like different characterizations of Batman, because you know they're not all based on the animated series, and yeah, I mean the dude was Batman, like that's the voice I hear in my head when I read comics, you know.
I feel like there's a whole generation of people that feel that way.
How's that, Larry? Is that better than bringing up the Crisis?
Much better. Good job, Mo. Good job. It would not surprise me if it would not surprise me if Kevin Conroy was actually one of the most like well-known modern voice actors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's like one of these people, like people that don't know the names of people that do animated characters or do voice acting. Like, he's one of those people that people know his name despite not knowing anybody else's. Like, in the same way how people know that Mel Blanc was like the voice of like Bugs Bunny. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Kevin Conroy is what inspired me to become an impressionist myself and do voices.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, Larry, you do my Barack Obama, right? Never heard
I have heard it. I've heard it.
It's like, hey, Larry, it's Barack Obama. How you doing?
Yeah. Sounds just like it. Nailed it. What are you gonna say, Jay?
As an aside, have you heard the Tim Curry demo reel of him doing the Joker?
No, but I want to.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, basically, they before Mark Hamill got the job, they were like, auditioning Tim Curry, and
Yeah. No, that's a good choice.
yeah, they said he was too scary, or like he was scary, but he wasn't funny, and Mark Hamill was both.
Right.
But yeah, Tim Curry was just scary.
Man.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an interesting listen.
I have to go look for that. Yeah, because it sounded like just saying, "Oh, Tim Curry's Joker." I'm like, oh, like that sounds like it would be a phenomenal thing to experience. Like, I'm not saying that
makeup, doing the voice and the makeup.
this fool shows up to the recording session in the makeup. They're like, "Oh my god!" They're like, "Who's the guy in the purple suit? Wait, is that Tim Curry?" No, oh my god, this guy's Mad Method, yo, Mad Method. But yeah, I can't imagine like anyone but Mark Hamill really in that role now. But there's definitely an alternate universe where Tim Curry is the Joker in that series, and people like love him for that too. Like that's not even hard to imagine. Like that could have been this reality.
In chat,
oh yeah, please,
Tiger Claw says there was one really good episode in which Batman teams up with an aging actor who he idolized as a kid for being a fictional superhero on TV. That character was voiced by Adam West. The episode is titled "Beware the Gray Ghost."
Yeah,
classic. Yeah, that's a classic episode. Like really good.
Look, there's very few episodes of that series that aren't great. You know, like,
yeah. I was about to say, like,
yeah, it's
like,
so crazy when you think about
it. No, it's so good. It's so good, and like all the people that work on it, or that worked on it back then, are like, you know, many of them have gone on to become legendary people in their own rights. You know what I'm saying? Like in the field of animation and other mediums. But I was gonna take umbrage with the idea of Tiger Claw saying one really good episode where it's like, you know, and I know how he means it. I'm just saying that when you're talking about stuff like Batman the Animated Series, which kind of piggybacks on the point you were just making, Moses, where it's like you can't really say, well, there was one really good episode. It's like, no, there are many really good episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and it's like you people get in fights about what episode is the best episode of Batman the Animated Series. Like there are like factions, you know, and guess what? I'm not sure who's right and who's wrong, because you know, like depending what day of the week it is, I might mess around and be with one side, and on another day I'll be with another one, and I'm just like, dude, they're all pretty phenomenal. Like in fact, I don't even know, like, if somebody's like, well, what's the worst episode of Batman the Animated Series? I'm sure there's an answer to that question. I don't know what it is. But, you know, like that's a more interesting conversation to have. Because all of them are so good.
That's a whole show right there. But there's definitely like there when it comes like that, like there's definitely some that I know are my favorites, and one of them is the ones with the Rat King, I think, the guy from the sewer with he's taking the kids.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
And then the Mr. Freeze, like the first Mr. Freeze episode is just so good too.
Like honestly, I feel like that episode of the animated series with Mr. Freeze, that initial episode, like, has shaped the character in the comic books since then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't get me wrong, it's like, it's not even to say that, you know, the character.
Before he was just like a diamond thief. Like,
right.
And then they went and like said, no, let's actually do something with the character.
Yeah.
Even because the Batman 64 sixth one was kind of like that too, like this super powered or cold guy, but he was still just doing dumb crimes. Like no motivation, like how Freeze had it in the animated series.
No, what's old boy Captain Cold, right? The Flash villain?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Captain Cold and Mr. Freeze were basically like the same character.
Right.
And then Batman the animated series happened, and all of a sudden Mr. Freeze is like on a whole nother level of like fantastic villains, and Captain Cold is like, wait a minute, I knew that guy back when. We were all out in the cold together, and then all of a sudden this guy won't my phone calls. Like he acted brand new. Ladies and gentlemen, Oz. Welcome, Oz. Good to see you, friend.
Yeah, I made it through the blizzard.
Oh, is it snowing?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, friend. Thank you for like being here.
That's why I'm late, because I couldn't do 90. I had to keep it at 70.
Dude, if you're going 70 in the snow, you've lived in Illinois too long.
I lived in North Dakota, so I know how to drive in the snow.
Oh, see? You just gotta...
I'm not scared of some snowflakes. Bring it on.
I was gonna say, you just need to come back home, Oz. But look, like you might have been out in the cold way too long, huh? You can't even live here among the civilized folk anymore, huh?
Move on. You don't want me to go there. You move on.
Like I can say you're gonna come out here and you're gonna melt. You're gonna be like, geez, it's so hot. And it's like, dude, it's like 75. No. But yeah, no. That's all right. Look, that's just me projecting Oz. We miss you, buddy. We miss you. But anyway. Oz, we were just talking about I'm sorry. Jay, what's the name of the young lady that passed away?
Kevin Conroy?
No,
name was.
You were talking about the animated series.
We were, but that's not who I'm saying.
Karen. I gotta check the last name.
Oh, it's all right. Oh, jeez. I'm like, she passed away. I don't want to call her the blowjob ghost, Joe. But you're putting me in a position where I have to...
Yeah.
Exactly. Listen, this is where we're at with Fantastic Four. Apparently, there was a blowjob ghost in Ghostbusters. Are you familiar with this, Oz?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like his eyes cross and everything.
Jeez, wow, you perverts.
Kimberly Herron.
How do you not? That's like one of Dan Aykroyd's greatest movies, and you don't remember him getting a blowjob from a ghost?
I absolutely don't remember that, because I don't feel like that was the main thing Dan Aykroyd did in Ghostbusters.
Did you even watch it? Was it too scary?
I've seen Ghostbusters, you son of a bitch. I'm saying, oh Jesus, man. And when Joe described the scene, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that happening. It didn't. I will say that because I guess when I rewatch Ghostbusters, because I've seen it plenty of times. Right, exactly. Say Heck says Mayor's a good Christian is why he don't remember. Indeed. And what I'm saying, I'm an all right Christian. No. But what I'll say is, in my mind, is like, I'm sure when I watched that the first time as a kid, I had no inkling, no clue that was what I understood that the ghost was making a pass at Dan Aykroyd. It didn't equate to me as a child, obviously, that, oh, this ghost is about to give him a blowjob, or this ghost is giving him a blowjob. And I feel like every time I watch Ghostbusters, I kind of look at it in that same way, just because, it's like the nostalgia aspect of things. But when Joe said it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that is exactly what's happening. I honestly thought it through. I've never thought it through. Dan Aykroyd is getting a blowjob from a ghost, which the implications of which are kind of wild on a number of different levels, where I'm just because it's not like this fool is like, no. I'm just saying, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild, right? I mean, I get it's a ghost and not like a dead body, but I kind of feel like that's still necrophilia. And you would think that in and of itself would kind of make you be like, well, let me like not do this, but at the same time, when you're
She's
friggin'
not necrophilia because she's not dead. She's after alive.
nah, that listen, that feels like alternative facts to me. You know, where it's like it's not a lie. It's like nah, it's an alternative fact. It's like nah, that chick dead. She might not be in a body, and I'll give you that. So if you want to make that argument, that's something different. You need a body for it to be necrophilia. If you want to make that argument, then that's something I can entertain. But if you want to be like, oh, well, she's not really dead. Nah, she dead. She dead. And so I'm just like, Like, but at the same time, Ray, like the character in that movie is not necessarily like, you know, getting a lot of action, right? So maybe he's just taking what he can where he can get it, even if it is dead people, which is kind of
Like,
sad
that's
in
why he
some
hunts
ways.
ghosts.
That's why he hunts ghosts for sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's why in
look,
Casper, in Casper, he's like, you can hire somebody else for this one.
wow, man, you made a Casper live action movie reference just now.
He was in it. It's in the same universe.
Oh, wow, man. I don't know, man. It like this is definitely made me think about Ray in a whole different way. This is like the darker side of Stan's. Like, geez, this guy's a friggin' ghost rapist.
Nah, because he's just sitting back. She still has ghost teeth. She doesn't have to
No, you said this is why he catches ghosts. So if he's catching ghosts so that he can have sexual favors, I'll let you go if you, you know, then yeah, that makes him a ghost rapist. Sorry.
Tomato.
The end. And Kevin Conroy and Gallagher.
By the way, in the movie, like that, he didn't catch the ghost. The ghost just kind of appeared to him and like looking at it.
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying that. Look, this was the beginning of his downward turn. Like that's the comic that Mo and Jay are gonna write about how Stan has went down this dark path.
Forward by Garth Ennis.
Right. So, Oz, anything you want to say about Kevin Conroy before we move on?
Nah, it's been said.
It has been. Yeah, but we'll miss him, man. Yeah, indeed. All right. Shall we go ahead and move on to Black Panther?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's. I was like, I think I'm alone. They're like, not sure we're there yet, but okay, let's do some movie review.
Comic book theater.
Once again, shout out to Tiger Claw, because comic book theater makes me happy every time I hear it. Thank you, Tiger Claw, for being you, man. Just for being you. All the other stuff I think of as like bonus. Also,
we want to know if any of us cried during Wakanda Forever.
That's a good question. We will answer that question in just a moment, Tiger Claw. Also, if you are watching the show right now, you've seen Wakanda Forever, and you want to talk to us about it, go to fantasticforum.live, hit call in, and you can join this conversation. So please feel free. Also, this is going to be a spoiler conversation. So it's like, I don't know if we can even talk about the movie without spoiling things. So if you haven't seen it, unfortunately, you may want to go watch it and then come back and watch the rest of this episode to hear our thoughts on it, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have some spoilers in this. But otherwise, we appreciate you listening up until this point, and we hope you come back so that you can listen to us talk about Fantastic Four #1. But until then, until the banner changes, don't watch this if you haven't seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
If you mind spoilers, rather.
If you mind spoilers, but yeah.
The
Okay.
Wakandans win.
Jay's a son of a bitch. Jay's like, I'm
He's
just putting it out here.
He's right. The hero loses in this movie.
I love it. It's like those damn Wakandans causing trouble. Moses is out here like, man. Look, I saw Moses earlier today, and as soon as he saw me, he just slapped me in the face. I was like, God damn. I was like, look, I'm like, this whole black on brown violence is real, man. I was like, wait a minute. I guess he held back a little bit because I guess I halfway or 1/4 of the way count. Like, because I'm Central American, he pulled it to slap a little, but he was like, nah, look what you look like, though.
And you love the queen.
Listen, don't say that. Don't say that. Listen, we don't. I keep telling you, man. I like you. Y'all not gonna get me to talk ill about the dead on this show. You're not gonna get me to do it. Anyway, I will say this.
That's a tangent.
Oh, go ahead, Jay. Tangent.
About,
we haven't started. Tangent. Okay, Jay. Tangent.
It was kind of funny. I was on Twitter, and this one girl was wondering like why so many people have her blocked, and then she realized it's because she has colorist in her bio. Which, if you don't know, a colorist is someone that's racist against different shades of like minorities. So like a dark-skinned person being colorist against light-skinned, like a dark-skinned black being colorist against a light-skinned black. And so it was just what she just realized that that's why people had her blocked, because that's in her bio. But, she's actually a comic book colorist. Like, she colors comic books.
Right. So, is that why they started using color artist?
It might be.
Yeah.
Man, that's messed up.
The bigots are ruining everything.
I'm just saying, man. Like,
I thought that was pretty funny.
Why would somebody put in their bio that they're like have some sort of like bigotry? Like I'm saying, don't get me wrong. Like people put stuff in their bio that makes us infer that they're bigots. But that's not the same thing as just straight out being like Nazi. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never seen that. I've never seen someone with Nazi in their like Twitter bio or in their Instagram. Like, why would people make that assumption? Like, well, obviously she's going all in.
Do you follow Kanye West?
I don't follow Kanye West.
Like, I'm pretty sure he has Nazi in his bio.
No, he doesn't. No.
But he spells it.
Well, he should.
He spells it NOTZY.
NOT. Oz, are you changing your bio right now?
I'm purging.
I'm like, I'm so quiet. I'm like, Oz is like, oh, don't put Nazi in. No, like Oz is like,
I just got this check mark. I just,
I was just like, I've got 2 check marks. He's like 16 the bucks in. He's like, I'm double verified. Yeah, man. So anyway, okay. I will say, I would love to start here because I know like last week, which I don't even remember if this was a conversation. Did we have this conversation on air? Or was this after the fact, Oz, where we were talking about Black Panther? Like you were talking about like early reactions and reviews and such, where you were just saying like all you're hearing
that
about
was on there.
That was on. Huh?
That was last week, right?
Yeah, that's what I said last week. And you were saying that what you were hearing about it is that all you're hearing is about it being emotional. And I the way that you were interpreting that was like, not necessarily positive because you were just like, oh, or I shouldn't say, I don't want to speak for why you weren't interpreting that, but my impression was that with you hearing only emotional, only emotional, only emotional, that wasn't necessarily what you were going to that movie for per se. Is
No,
that a fair
what that
interpretation?
what that told me was I knew they were going to do something for Chadwick Boseman,
Right.
a funeral and probably some kind of dedication, and that instantly there's your emotion. That's going to impact
Mm-hmm.
anybody that watches it that was a
Right.
fan of the guy or the first movie. And to me, it felt
Right.
like that's all. If that's all you took away from watching this movie, then the rest of the movie has nothing going for it. If all you can tell me is about that the dedication to this guy
Right.
that died, that we all miss, then
Right.
it's I'm there to watch a movie, not a funeral, or
Mm-hmm. And
Now,
so
I didn't
with
mind the scene, and I didn't
right.
mind the dedication towards the end and the logo thing. Like, that's all great. Yeah, sure. I mean,
Right.
he's a great guy, and we all miss him, but it's a 2 hours and 40-minute movie. Like, you gotta do something with that, and it just didn't.
Oh, so you feel like all it was like a giant Chadwick Boseman tribute, and that's it?
I feel like the rest of it had a lot of good ideas that were jam-packed together with stuff
Mm-hmm.
that made no sense and had no point in this movie.
Mm.
That just sets up other projects.
Mm.
And we're
Okay.
doing spoilers, right? We're in this now.
Yeah. No, we're absolutely
Like,
Like
for example,
I like spoilers.
It's
Did we have a
crazy
spoiler
now.
hand gesture?
for example, Riri Williams, no point of being in this movie.
That she has no point of being in the
She
movie.
has no reason to be in this movie. And if you're gonna put her in this movie, Fishman, because I don't want to call him no more, hunting her is
What?
stupid.
Just
It
call him
makes
by
no
his
sense.
name. Just call him by his name.
El Niño Sin Amor has no point in chasing after her. I mean, the whole reason they're going after Riri is because she created a metal detector that can detect vibranium, the only one in the world. Here's the problem with going after her, trying to kill her for that, so she won't make another one. First of all, it was in the hands of the U.S. government, so whoever gave it to them, don't you think gave them the plans? Or don't you think, hey, we only got one, let's figure out how this thing got made, maybe we can make another one. Two, they had already found the vibranium. They knew where it was. They had the location. They could just go back. It would make more sense if you really want to have her there and have her being hunted, have another country like the French come hunt her down, because they don't have the plans. They didn't have the machine. They want it too. Like, that would make more sense than Namor coming after her.
So, Jay, I see you shaking your head. I see you shaking your head, Jay. What, like, you disagree with what Oz is saying in regards to like Riri Williams and the way that the movie develops?
Oh, I don't remember what part I was shaking my head to.
Okay. Do you want to say something?
I forgot. But no, he's right about Riri.
You feel like she was pointless as well?
Partially pointless, but I actually didn't like her. And I have no experience with her in the comics. Like, I haven't read her. But their portrayal of her, I just don't like. I'm tired of, like, how to say this?
Don't get canceled, Jay. Don't get canceled. Take a moment. Take a beat and say it right.
I like seeing Black people portrayed as good, upstanding citizens. And that's not Riri in this movie. And I don't feel it was necessary to, like, she could have been good. Like, it just feels really token to try and make her a hustler. Like, why can't she just be a genius? Like, it's I didn't like that. And I know, is she like that in the comics?
I don't know that she writes any papers for anybody in the comics. Not that I know. She did go to MIT, but I don't know that she writes papers for people. But I mean, writing papers for people is all she does, right? I mean, is that what makes you feel like she's not upstanding?
No, that's more than that. But that's the main thing.
That's what?
That's you could get barred from any college for that.
I mean, yeah, it is cheating, but I mean, like you're saying it like people don't cheat in college. Like we all know someone that's cheated in school before.
That's like
saying I don't prefer blacks not be shown as cheaters. Like, why can't we just have like a non-cheating black, like an upstanding?
Like, they're like you realize that everybody else in the movie is black and not cheating, right? Like literally everybody other than like friggin' Elaine and Bilbo are black people that aren't cheating. Like,
I mean, they were.
It's basically my black privilege where I just don't want any blacks shown in any negative light.
That's not a thing.
That two of these upstanding young black powerful women were in another country to kidnap a citizen to give to a guy to kill. Like, that's the whole reason they were there. They were gonna get the person that created the machine so that Namor could kill them. And it wasn't until they realized this is a 19-year-old girl that suddenly like, well, we can't do that. I'll tell you what. You know what?
Wait, so you're saying that
why were they there? Why were they there? Because Namor said, bring me this scientist that created this machine. I will kill them. And they were there to get the scientist. And it wasn't until they saw that it was a 19-year-old black girl that they're like, well, no, we can't just hand her off. And that was just Shuri. I think Okoye was still like, well, you know, let's get her.
And even the way she said it, she's like, it's either us or you against the Fishman with the fucking with your heater.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
I really did enjoy that conflict. The reason for the conflict, I thought, was great.
Which conflict?
Between the Atlanteans and the Wakandans.
Gotcha.
Like, Black Panther fucked up and told everybody about this shit, and now they're looking for it, and they might come to us if they find it. Like, I like that conflict.
Yeah, no, it was definitely interesting. Right. I mean, I guess I just, you know, again, I'm not trying to say like, Riri Williams.
That whole conflict doesn't make sense either. They're scared of.
Why not?
They're scared of Namor because he says we will come get you. Wakanda fucking took on Thanos' army.
Yeah,
and they're scared of Fishman that just showed up.
Hey, you don't call him Fishman. They call him Feathered Serpent God. He's not
a Kukulkan.
A Kukulkan. Look, hearing M'Baku say it like that was so tight.
He said it better than the fucking actor.
Oh yeah. It was fucking.
M'Baku was a G, man. I wish.
And then he says he's essentially as strong as a fucking Hulk. Like, what the fuck you think you're gonna do? Do eternal war? Constant war? They need a M'Baku movie now. I love what they like. M'Baku in the comics is not like this a lot. Like, there is seeds of this there, but
yeah,
the way they did them in the movies is just fucking tight. And then the casting is fucking perfect. And I was conflicted because I'm like, I'm not rooting for Wakanda. I'm rooting for M'Baku, but then I'm also rooting for fucking Namor.
Look,
But what you don't get is
he
the
should've
reason
been
they
Black
were
Panther.
scared is because he did something that no other nation has managed to do. Like that's what they were scared of. Like that's
Right.
why
Like
they
they
were on
can get
edge.
into Wakanda.
Well, not even that.
Right.
And then they're like, then she's like, oh, well, we got vibranium. And then Shuri's like, well, look at him. He's covered in it. You know?
Right. This was covered in vibranium. He's like, we all got vibranium, goddamn.
I want to know how you guys felt about Black Panther Shuri. Because to me, look, I understand she's got super strength now, but she looked like a stick figure in that costume. Now, in the first movie, she looked tougher. Like I feel like she got smaller in this movie, or maybe the black.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, when the movie started and I saw Angela Bassett, I was like, oh, this chick put in some work. She's gonna be the next Black Panther. And then
Listen, Angela Bassett always looks like that. First of all,
that is an amazing looking woman, and she's what, in her 60s? My God,
dude, I don't even know, man. Like, but Angela Bassett has looked like that for literally like the last 40 years.
she's got more muscle in her 60s than I had in my 20s.
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. But no, I agree with you that Shuri does make a much slimmer Black Panther. And you know, I mean, but she's a smaller person.
I know, it's just
And the
visually.
superheroics, like you don't really need muscle to prove strength.
Yeah, I get she's like,
which is
she
also
has that.
a shitty part of like this Namor, because like I would have liked him to be buff.
Yeah, he
like-
could have hit the gym a little bit.
And he did. I actually
Before.
watched videos of him working out.
After him? Oh my God.
Yeah. But hey, you can't help it. Like you know, he's a fucking mestizo. Like he's got fucking corrupted.
He could have at least fucking shaved.
He has corrupted
Nah. That's
genes.
Supposed to be,
Is that what you
he's supposed to be Mayan. He's
Corrupted
fucking full bearded. Come on.
Yeah,
No,
and
I agree. Like, I think
corrupted
he
by the
definitely should've
Spaniards. Nah, I like it like that.
Nah, he's full blooded Mayan. And in that movie,
No, but in real life, like he can't make muscle like that because of the Spaniards.
he could shave.
No, fuck that.
I mean,
It's
I know
fine.
I know you like a little tickle when they're blowing you, but
Hey,
you
look,
Oh, jeez.
that's why you keep your goatee.
well,
I
yeah,
like that on my balls.
Oh, jeez! Wow!
Yeah.
My God, caller,
Derek,
you are the fifth member of. You're the fifth member of Fantastic Forum. Tell the people who you are, where you're calling from, and what you think about Black Panther.
I'm Derek H. I'm calling from North Hollywood, California. I think we should all, just like in the movie, every at least every 3 or 4 minutes, in your show, we need to have a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman.
So Derek, did you feel like they overdid it with the tribute to Chadwick Boseman in this movie?
You think with a giant picture of a dead guy, and then every 15 minutes, and then saying he died of an unknown illness, and then having them like float up into the air like a deity of some sort. Yeah, I think they overdid it a bit. And every like I said, every 3 minutes, somebody would break down crying about him being dead. I couldn't save him. I'm still mad about him being dead. Oh, look, he had a kid. Oh, okay, he's dead. I'm sorry, we got to move on. Nobody else cried about
I mean, you gotta admit, there's like in MCU right now, this last, I want to say what, like 6 projects, like grief has played a big part. Like that's a theme that's kind of like crossing through all these movies right now, right? Like
starting from like WandaVision.
Nobody cried about Captain America, or nobody cried about Vision.
Well, no, I mean technically, was it
Wanda
the whole,
kinda
the whole
cried
thing?
about
Like, was it the Falcon?
Right.
His whole thing was like he didn't want to take the shield, and that all this shit happened because of his grief too, right?
Right. Same thing with WandaVision. Like WandaVision is literally a whole show about how she misses Vision.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm wrong. I admit it.
Well, listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that
I'm just like when you look at it through that perspective, it's not that big a deal.
She-Hulk made me grieve about good television being gone.
Oh, see, Oz with the random dig. You didn't have to do that. No one will even talk about She-Hulk. But what I will say is this though, is obviously from the perspective of Derek and maybe even from other people here and that are listening, there's a difference between what happened in, like, say, a show like WandaVision and a show like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where we know that those people were like grieving the loss of significant people in their lives, but it didn't necessarily seem like it overwhelmed the narrative. And that seems like what Derek is saying, and even what Oz has kind of mentioned, where they both feel like it overwhelmed the narrative to a degree. Am I right in saying that, Derek and Oz?
Wait, what'd you say? I was reading Tiger Claw's comment.
I'm having a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman right now.
Wait,
I'm having a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman, got it. Okay, what are you gonna say, Mo?
Well, it does feel like that. Like I feel they did overdo it a little bit, but I also felt they overdid the Riri too. Like if they edit all her stuff out, like the movie still goes the same way. It felt a little shoehorned. Like even like the whole giving her the power, the suit and everything. Like you can't take your suit with you, you know. And then then now we have to have a whole origin episode again in her TV series.
Did you like her upgraded suit?
It looked a little too bulky.
Like they tried to make it look like a heart because she's
Iron. Yeah. No, I didn't like that. I like more. Look, honestly, I really love like the way she looks in Marvel Snap, like in the card, like that. I was hoping to see that here, but that's not what we got. That's probably what we'll see. That's probably why they made it that way here, so that when they do like you can have two action figures. You know,
I wish I was as hopeful as you.
Yeah, look, I hang out with Larry once a week now, so it's rubbing off.
But also too, good.
But I don't mind it because the way I looked at this movie, because it was almost 3 hours long, like I felt like I read a arc of Wakanda Forever, the trade paperback. Like I felt like that's what I was getting. So when you break it down to like on a 20-minute cycle, you're getting little mini arcs for everything, and it just worked really well. So even the stuff that I didn't like or I felt they could do without, look, half the time I feel like that about these comics. And look, when you make something like this and it feels like I'm reading a comic book, I'm never gonna be like, oh, I hate this, you know. You know, I've even come around on I mean, Larry, I talked to you about it, but I've come around on Guardians a lot too, because I look at it that way. Like it's just, you know, but we're not really talking about the important part of this movie, which is
the popcorn bucket,
the tragic, like the tragic loss
of Chadwick Boseman. Yes, we need to talk about that more.
Of what silence of
no more.
Like this dude's like, you know, I'm conflicted because in real life this guy has been denying his indigenous roots his whole life. Like he doesn't want to play, like he like refused to play an indigenous person in Mexico. Like he's like, I don't want to be typecasted for that, because it's
you talking about the
like
actor?
What Joe was talking. The actor.
Well,
so
up to like a couple years ago, that you'd had to do that to survive in Hollywood.
Right, but in Mexico, there's a whole other film industry, and he's part of that. Like that's where he comes from, and so he had a whole way of doing things where he was like, you know, he would deny his indigenous roots. But I mean, Oz knows the old saying, "He's got the nopal in the frente." You know what I mean? Like,
what does that mean?
He can't deny that.
It means you're fresh off the boat, basically.
Yeah, like you got the cactus on your forehead. Like you're saying you're not indigenous, but you got a cactus right here.
You have the cactus on your forehead.
That's the little translation.
That's a little translation, yeah.
On your forehead.
So it's like, you know, like he can't deny indigenous roots, but he wouldn't want to play like those type of characters. You know, for the way that the movie industry works in Mexico and the colorism, because that in Mexico colorism is a big thing with shades. So I can see why he did it. Now, Marvel comes a knocking, and he's like, like, Marvel comes a knocking, and he's ready to put on feathers and everything. Yeah, Kukul Khan, so that it,
So how
to
do you
me, it's a
feel? Like
little
you feel like that's good or a bad thing? Like you feel like he shouldn't have done that, or
for his wallet, it's good. It's good. I like, I can never really fault anybody for selling out because there's only a window to make your money in these industries. You know what I mean? So make it while you can. And look, if he didn't sell out for these fucking motherfuckers paying him in fucking pesos, but he sells out for Marvel, and it's like you're creating something with the way they're doing Namor, and the way they're doing it. I'm like, fuck it. If this is how you're gonna sell out, sell the fuck out, man. Fucking start a Patreon.
Yeah, like,
I'll put money in it. Yeah.
the majority of his credits are like not necessarily
Narcos,
American.
right?
He did Narcos, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of
That's the
like
closest
American-based television or movies that he's done, huh?
Yeah, he's a Mexican actor from there. Like he's like their leading man or whatever. But he never really like
Interesting.
because of his tone, he never wanted to be portrayed as an indigenous person because that's what they would typecast him as if he would let himself do it. Yeah. But aside from that, I mean, his performance was great. I like, we talk about characterization and changing the character a lot, but his portrayal of this whatchamacallit,
Well, he was a pedophile in this movie.
he fucking he kind of did.
He's like, isn't he like 900 years old or something? And he's hitting on Shuri.
Yeah, but she's already legal.
I'm not sure that he's hitting on her though.
Really? Come on.
I thought he was going to ask her to marry him.
I thought they were going to kiss at one point.
Yeah.
Like I felt that. Like,
but he didn't.
In fact, I'm going to start writing that fan fiction.
Shuri's got better taste.
Well, but here's the thing. Like,
I mean,
you say that, but he didn't make a move. So it's like I hear you all saying that that's what you all thought, but it's like that's not what happened. So are we making a comment on Namor, or are we making a comment on you all?
No, well, maybe on us. Maybe. Yeah,
that's not what happened in the movie.
Dude, first time he meets her, he gives her his mom's bracelet from 500 years ago. Yeah. Like, come on, that's a
this fool's being a diplomat. He's trying to avoid a war.
Look, he's like 400 years old, and if you're watching a medieval fantasy movie, like he would just take her as his wife for peace. Like there wouldn't be no fight.
I mean, but like, if we're talking about again, you're talking about Europe.
As soon as you put on those clothes,
yeah, but no, like, what I'm saying is not that like. It's not super strange that he would go that way, but he didn't. Like he's giving her a choice, and like they're having a conversation, which is more than any work of fiction would do between a man and a female.
I'm not sitting here telling you that.
Yeah.
There's no part of me that's saying you're wrong for thinking that that's the way it could have went. I'm not saying that you're wrong. Like especially like if you're watching friggin'
Are you saying
House
I'm
of
wrong?
the Dragon,
because that's the way I wanted it to go.
Hey, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just saying, like, technically, there's nothing that happened in the movie that went down that route.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, it's like he gave her the bracelet, but that totally could have just been diplomacy and not like because it's
but he gave him the origin story and not like a bond.
He told her a long romantic story.
Like, I lost my mother.
It's not a romantic story. It's like tragic. It's like
that's what romance is. Romance is tragedy.
Yeah, it's a thin line. It's a thin line, man. Look, I think Angela
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But
if Namor had tried to kiss her, I'm sure Shuri had been like, "Whoa!"
He meets Shuri, and first thing he does is tell her, "Look, this is how I handle colonizers. I know you don't like them either."
But if the thing is, he's Mexican, so if Shuri didn't want it, she'd still get it.
Wow! Wait a minute. So is this like the second rape in you like
Well, they aren't killing their best over here. You know, they're killing the rapists and the criminals and the.
just like, wait a minute. We're just all this insinuation of rape. Like, first Ray raping Ghost. Now we're talking about Namor raping Shuri. It's like, dude, like, we should.
The ghost is on Jade. I didn't bring that up.
I never said it was rape. Like, I never said rape. You guys brought that up.
Jay's like, they're dead anyway. They can't be raped.
I mean, that's
they don't have no rights.
The ghost started it, and he was like, go ahead.
Here's the thing.
So,
I consider it the same way you would consider like what is and what isn't bestiality.
Wait, Jay, this whole conversation, Jay. I think you're gonna talk about Black Panther. Let's not do that.
Well, there was a Black Panther involved.
Yeah, in a way, he's talking about a panther.
Well, the fact that he has the take on bestiality says a lot about Jay.
Tiger Claw in chat is saying
I don't know who doesn't have a take on bestiality. Like,
I'm against it. That's my take.
Like most people are either for or against, but when it comes to fiction, there's more nuance. And so,
speaking of bestiality, Tiger Claw in chat,
with Ray and the Ghost, as far as the bestiality is concerned, the three things you want to check for are if the beast can communicate.
Wait,
if it's of sexual maturity.
Hey, look.
No, you said they're not. You said they're dead, then they're not people anymore.
No, I didn't say they weren't people. I said they're not alive. That's different.
Look, Jay, you're trying to get out here by two, by to tight two, right?
I'm leaving either way. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So Jay, the take we want from you is, how do you feel about Black Panther in regards to the idea, like, the idea that's been put out forth now here is like, this is like a little bit too much Chadwick Boseman tribute and not necessarily enough comic book or superhero movie. How do you feel about that?
I thought it was fine. I thought the balance was fine. Like, I didn't have any issues with that or pacing.
Yeah. Okay.
The one thing I did want to bring up before I forget is that I had a kind of a bad experience watching it.
Me too.
Like, I think there was something fucked up with the projector.
What happened?
So a lot of the scenes were blurry.
You were in the 3D.
Oh, that sucks.
That's your eyesight. You're getting old.
Or you were in the 3D theater, because that's what happened to me. I walked in and I was like, this movie's fucking blurry as hell. And then I look at everybody like, oh, they're wearing 3D. Man, I had to walk out and get a ticket for the next showing.
No, but it was like parts of the scene were fine, but then other parts, like, it wasn't the entire thing was blurry, but just certain parts of the thing. Like, okay, you mentioned when Namor came out and he had all the jewelry on, like, for my theater, like, the face was fine, but then the bottom part under that was all blurry.
Man,
so
that's weird.
I thought it was really distracting.
I had a bad experience myself because I went to one of these theaters that do the projector on the side walls too.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ruined it. Like I was trying to cry during the funeral scene and I couldn't because M'Baku's face was all warped on one side, stretched across the wall.
What do you mean on the sides?
So they start. Go ahead, Jay. Explain it. You probably know it better than I did. I didn't even know what it was when I walked into it.
Basically, they have these immersive theaters where they light up the sides of the theater to match the tone of what's on the screen. So it's supposed to like make you feel like you're
there.
Yeah, like it's more you're surrounded by it.
And I heard people talk about Top Gun Maverick, when they're in the cockpit and they're flying around, those side the walls are like the sides of what you would see if you're in the cockpit too. And I heard like it was amazing, And then they had the moving seats too. I didn't have no moving seats, but I did have that screen, and that was the screen that was empty. Like at the time that I waited too long to get my ticket, so when I got them, like I'm like, oh, there's plenty of seats here. I'll pick these, and then Emily's like, what's screen X mean? I go, it's just something to charge you an extra $3, but we paid it already. Who cares? And then it starts turning into that, and I'm like, I see like M'Baku's like crying at the funeral, and his face is all like oblonged out, and I'm like, man, what the fuck? Like, I like, I don't want to go to the theater. I want to see it. Like, I want to see it at home. I've made my living room the most theater like I can, so I don't have to leave the house. I don't want to leave the fucking house, and it's like I'm like, you know what? Just give me a bigger screen. Like, just give me like I don't need the side thing. I want to see what I'm seeing on the side. I want to see it on the like. If it's M'Baku's face in the funeral, I want to see it on the main screen. I don't want to have to like feel that he's crying off to the side, So I don't know if it's this movie that wasn't shot for that. But it was like it gave me a headache. It's the first time a movie like everybody talks about 3D giving headaches and stuff. I never worry about that. Never had to worry about it. But with this, I'm like, you know what? Fuck this Screen X shit. Like, give me like I'd rather watch it on my fucking phone on Disney Plus. Like if they just do like same day release on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Because I don't need that side. Yeah. But the underwater scenes with the side thing worked well. Like when they were going in through the jet stream, like cool because that makes you feel like you're going with them too, But they got to pick and choose what scenes they do with that.
Right. It was interesting because I will say this. Well, I got a few things to say because technically I haven't given any opinions on this movie yet.
You need to.
You're hilarious. But I will say that I found it really interesting the take that they gave on. Oh well, no. Actually, let me start with here. Let me start with this. I would have preferred it to be Atlantis instead of Telecon. Did I say that properly or no?
Doesn't matter.
Well, because you hate Mexicans.
That's true.
No, I have no problem with Mexicans, but no, and it's strictly because like I'm a comic book guy in the same way where I wish the dude had shaved too because Namor doesn't have facial hair. It's like I just want him to look
facial hair in the past.
When he like loses his memory and like is homeless and not Namor, sure. Like I mean, I'm not saying like literally in the comics they like. We didn't even realize it was Namor because this fool has a beard. Yeah, that has happened. And then they literally like shaved the beard off. Like, oh my God, it's Namor, right? Like that happened.
Well, they didn't. But the wings on the feet.
No more.
No, because he was living as a homeless person, so you couldn't see the wings on his feet.
Why he had shoes?
Like
homeless guy with shoes and socks.
Huh?
They were in his pants. They were in his pants.
Yeah. Listen. If you're homeless in New York, you can't not have shoes. It's like it's cold.
Plus, when you're on meth, like you don't feel the wings on your feet.
No, Namor wasn't on meth. He was something else was going on with him. But anyway, what I'm saying to you is this: but huh?
I mean, he was homeless in New York. You don't know what he was on. He forgot he was the king of Atlantis. Right. Like
he did.
Look, if I was the king of Atlantis, I wouldn't. I don't.
You would remember, right?
But Namor doesn't have the Constitution.
What I'll say is this though: is that would have been my preference. However, I have no problem with this depiction of Namor. Like it's the MCU version of Namor, and it's completely different. But at the same time, it hits all of the like. It feels like Namor. Which is an amazing thing because like this origin and the way that like I mean it's not even called Atlantis. It's crazy that this whole thing is this entirely new origin, but it still feels like the character. And that's pretty amazing. Now, like there would have been a point in time when I probably in my comic book nerd journey that I would not have been able to accept this. But I guess the MCU has slowly been weaning me into accepting the fact that the MCU version of characters are going to be different than the comic book versions of characters. But what I will say is, like, it feels like Namor 100%, and that's very cool. Now,
say it right.
What?
Well, he was hot for a black girl instead of a white girl, like the real Namor is.
Yeah.
Namor.
You gotta say it right.
Listen, the only person that says it like that is him. Everybody else says Namor, which is hilarious. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying how it should or shouldn't go. It's just really interesting because that's something I noticed where he's like Namor, and he gives it like the origin of it. And listen, I was like, damn, like, and actually kind of cool. Like I like the look. I love. Like I felt like Oz. I like the origin of the name.
Like, Larry, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you thought of me when you watched this movie, but like watching him come out of the ocean to bury his mom and seeing his little town overrun by Christians, those fucking roaches. And then he just looks at him like, what the fuck? Like this is my mom's land. And he doesn't even know what's happening, but he's not like that little kid was more comic Namor than Namor. Because the way that little kid looked at that priest, like, and he's like, eres el hijo del diablo. Like, and he's just like, and he just fucking he kills every last one of them. Like, oh my god, I had a
it's an amazing scene, and I can't wait to see it again.
Oh, it's so good.
Well, there's a lot of murder in this movie. There's probably more murder in this movie than any other MCU movie.
It's so many dead. Like in the words of the Mighty Joe, or Mighty J, sorry.
I'm like Mighty Joe. I'm like the gorilla from that movie.
Yeah, that's what I corrected myself. Yeah, but so many dead. Like it's so beautiful. Like it's like they just burned down. Like all you see is just fire in the little mission that they put right there, and hearing hearing Lupita accept her Mexicanism and actually speak Spanish, and in this movie was kind of cool.
Don't put that on Lupita. Lupita 100% represents her Mexican heritage. Nobody else wants to accept it because she's dark.
Yeah, but yeah, like spoke Spanish. Like she sounded like my tia.
Dude, and it's so wild because I saw a thing. I saw a meme.
And then she spoke Mayan too. Like then she spoke Mayan. Yeah. She switched it up to Mayan. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude. I saw a meme where cats were like, "Oh, Marvel's finally getting Latin representation right?" And they put like all the different like Latin people that had roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe up there, right? But they didn't include Tessa Thompson and they didn't include Lupita. And cats were like, how come you don't include Lupita and Tessa Thompson? And they're like, well, people were defending it like, oh, well, they're not playing, Latin characters in the movies. And it's like, well, yeah, but you got Oscar Isaacs up there and this fool isn't playing.
He doesn't want people to know he doesn't want people to know that he's the representative for his party.
And I'm saying it's like right, and I'm saying like this fool is playing a Jewish person in his joint, and cats are just like nobody got no answers. Like Lupita was friggin' born in Mexico, and cats have everything to say like, nah, she don't count. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
Your name is Lupita, like that. She's named after the Virgin of Guadalupe, which is like that's how you know the Christians really fucked Mexico. Like in order to get these people on board with Christianity, they had to give each little city state their own virgin, and it's all the same fucking virgin, but it's the virgin that. And then there's some crazy whacked out story how she appeared to this indigenous dude, and you know, but it's still the Virgin Mary. But nobody calls her the Virgin Mary. It's like, oh, La Virgen de Fatima or Guadalupe and all this. Like, you know, that's look. Mexico's living proof that Christianity's fucked up.
The apparition of Guadalupe is an amazing painting. Like they found a fucking like they zoomed into the reflection on one of her eyes, and it there's a little painting of the dudes like looking at the guy like, what the hell, when he unfurls it. That painting should be amazing.
Yeah, it should be burnt.
But what I will also say is, personally, like, the movie is very emotional, and I won't lie, like, I definitely cried. I was like hurt by it, just because I was like,
yeah, me neither, Larry. Yeah, we're men. We need
I was hurt. But what I felt like it didn't come across to me as a long like tribute to Chadwick Boseman, even though it definitely started off as a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, but it felt like the themes of loss that stemmed from the beginning of what happened to Chadwick Boseman and how they paid homage to that through the loss of T'Challa, like, basically extend through the entire movie. And it's like you see that same kind of loss in the character of Namor, and you see that same kind of loss through the different characters in Wakanda, and it's like the themes just work throughout, because it's like, I feel like in some ways this was what Eternals was trying to do, that it failed at so miserably, and it just felt boring. And in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, they succeed, but for some people, I think they do it so well that it's just like it overwhelms them, where they're just like, dude, like I mean, it's a superhero movie, it's a comic book movie. People don't want to go to comic book movies and feel sad. That's not what they're there for. They're there for action and adventure and sci-fi and all that. And I feel like Black Panther Wakanda Forever had all that, but it also had a tone that was somber and sad because of what happened to Chadwick Boseman. And unfortunately, I feel like a big portion of the audience may not necessarily be able to understand or separate the idea that both of those things are happening at the same time.
Well,
and so,
are you saying I was supposed to feel bad that Salma Hayek died in Eternals?
Listen, I guarantee you that somebody was hoping that that's what you felt, but it didn't work.
You were dead till halfway through the movie. I was like, oh, she's dead. I didn't even know.
Realistically,
like an hour ago.
Realistically, I wouldn't feel bad if anybody involved with Eternals was dead.
Jesus, Moses, really? It's like
that. Look, Larry. Yeah, fuck them. They ruined my shit. They this is the one thing that I wanted them to do well, and they ruined it. Fuck them.
It could come back. It could turn around. Like, I feel like they're gonna mess with the Kieran Gillen stuff in the next one. It'll be better.
Yeah.
Eternals 2. Mark my words, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, like the abusive husband that says he'll never do it again.
Yeah. Oh boy.
We'll go watch it.
Yeah.
We believe.
Larry, there was a question I wanted to ask of you, and I totally am spacing out now that there's a little bit of space for me to wedge it in. But damn it. Shit. Okay.
It'll come to you. Don't worry about it.
It will, but let's just all wait in silence while it comes.
Actually,
for Chadwick.
Go ahead,
I
Jim.
did have a question for the group. Because I've heard people discussing this, and I'm like, you guys are fucking crazy. Like you guys, yeah. So anyway, they're basically talking about Ross and saying there was way too much Ross in the movie and that he should have been taken out.
Right.
Do you guys
It's
agree
set
with
up. They're
that?
trying to set stuff up. They got to set stuff up for phase 5 or 6. They got to set up the next 8 movies, and they got to do it all here because this is the one that people want to see.
Oh,
Ross doesn't set anything up for the other movies, though.
He sets
Like,
up.
that's all Valentina.
Well, yeah. Well, she's his wife, so
no,
Well,
ex-wife.
she didn't have to be.
And the thing is, she could have been in
Valentina,
it
no
without
Ross. Now, don't get me wrong. I think everything that was in there with Ross and Valentina, I would have kept all of it. I liked it.
Yeah.
nah.
But it was obvious
need it.
setup, though. It obviously had nothing to do with this movie.
Well,
All of a sudden, they switched to a whole different sitcom.
I disagree.
And then
Set
they
up for the
switched back.
Thunderbolts
No.
movie.
I know.
There's
I
something-
liked it. Like, I enjoyed Ross in this movie. Yeah, so that's why I couldn't get like they're saying he's too much. It's like, nah, it's like I thought it was just.
He's
the right
barely in
amount,
it.
I'll say it this way. I enjoyed the scenes. I don't think they were necessary. Like you could,
I mean-
cut those, but I enjoyed them. Martin Freeman is Martin Freeman, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's talented.
good. Yeah. With his scenes, I enjoyed, and he has a connection to Wakanda from the past movie. But that's one of the problems. Like, if you can call it a detriment, I don't, because for me, I read comics. Like, I read comics from the era of anytime you wanted to launch a new superhero, like his origin was in Spider-Man. You know, so
Right.
I know they're doing a
This is
Wakanda
real.
TV show with the Midnight Angels. So you got to
Right.
shoehorn the Midnight Angels in here, and I know you
Right.
got to do Ironheart. Like, you got to shoehorn her in here. She could have been shoehorned better. I don't agree. I don't not like what she did. It was good, but it's inconsequential. Like, if she wasn't in it, the movie would still play out the same. You know, similar with Ross, and I think Ross is probably going to be part of the Midnight Angels TV. And-
Real quick, sorry, but there's Tarklaw saying something completely crazy in chat.
Yeah. That's why I'm not, like, I ignored it when I saw it.
No,
first.
well, I think we need to correct because he seems to think that Martin Freeman's character is Thunderbolt Ross.
No,
and
it's not. It's not.
Thunderbolt
Like,
Ross.
Yeah.
will-
Again, ignore it so we can get out of here, or Joe can go with
He's gonna get out of here either way. It doesn't matter.
Right, but I want him to go with closure. With closure, this whole grief
With
thing,
closure.
this theme, yeah, it's with closure.
See,
You know, Joe,
Ghost
I
lady
will say
in the
this,
room.
I don't. Look,
I will say this.
I don't want Joe to have to hear the show after the fact. I want him to hear it while he's here.
I will say this. Like, I feel
on the show.
We could
But-
correct
but
it
I
real
can't-
quick. He's Everett Ross, Thunderbolt Ross's Thaddeus.
Yeah.
Two different
Right.
guys, both related,
Right.
but not the same person.
Which is Han Solo now, so it should be easy for him to remember.
right.
Yeah, but look, I don't want to look again. I don't want to pick on Tiger Claw. Like,
No, we're
But
educating.
what I will say to you is this: is that I feel like I feel like the movie itself, even though it was long, it's a long movie, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's
not
done. It's not
Avatar 2.
right, and also too, but it's not clunky. Like, I know a lot of I'm listening to a lot of you all say, "Huh."
no, well, because that's what I was trying to get to. Like, there's all these things in it where people feel there was too much, but none of it fits out of place. Like, yeah, you could edit it, but why? Like, it worked fine for the movie. Yeah.
Right, and not only does it work fine, but I'm like, it literally are there. It's plot points. Like, I personally feel like you take Ironheart out of the movie, you take Riri Williams out of the movie.
Nothing changes.
There's a lot of plot, huh?
Nothing changes. You take her out of the movie.
No, I disagree, because if you don't have Riri Williams in the movie, then you don't get to the point where the Wakandans are like, damn, like, back against the wall. We're not gonna sacrifice this person.
Well, look,
You know?
think about this. They had the exact same plot point in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they had to get the scientist who was the only one in the world that could make the super soldier serum, and they killed him in 10 seconds, and he was done, and they never even mention him again. And that was Riri Williams.
But that's a different set of people than the people in this movie. and one's a TV show and one's a movie, so it flows different. So it's like,
but either way, go ahead.
Either way, what?
No,
okay, but what I'm saying is, I feel like it sets up the conflict and makes it happen in a particular way because of who the character is. Much in the same way how if Wakanda and friggin' Talakon are
Talokan. Get it right.
I'm sorry. Talakon.
You call him
Talakon. are having this conflict, right?
Feathered serpent god.
Here's the thing. If they're having this conflict, right? And there's no American involvement, right? The criticism would have been, well, how come nobody from the US had anything to say about it? But now that there is,
how come no Avenger was at no Avenger was at this funeral? Nobody cared about him.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck him.
But which Avenger is gonna? Which Avengers were you hoping would be there?
Any of them? Bucky? Hell, they could have had no time to show up. I would have been.
Bucky is the only person I would have thought of that's like, damn, I'm surprised he didn't show up. But at the same time, at the same time though, apparently it's a thing where nobody knew he was sick, so he dies, and now it's up to the Wakandans to tell people, and if they want to tell people, they do, and if they don't want to tell people, they don't, which is a very real thing that happens, where it's like, listen, if T'Challa was there, yeah, he would have messed around and be like, hey, I'm going to die, so you all should come. But he's not there. So now it's left to Shuri and to the Queen, and it's like, those cats aren't like, oh, well, we need to make sure the White Wolf is here. They're like, they kind of feel some timey about White Wolf, right? They're like, that's T'Challa's boy, but
it could be kind of like the the Jewish thing, like they got to do this ceremony within a certain amount of time. Like they don't have. It's not like
they can't make a phone call.
With the Mexicans, they do like 40 days of this shit.
It's not that they can't make a phone call. It's more so the idea of, do they want to, and if they don't, then you can understand that, where they're like, like I get it, like maybe that's what he would have wanted, but what we're trying to do is this. We're doing our thing, and so
this whole elaborate funeral with planes flying in the air and coffins floating, but
in Wakanda, like nobody's seeing that. Nobody, they're the only ones seeing all that.
Okay.
Right? They're like, we're not inviting outsiders. This is us, and that's okay. Yeah. I mean, that's okay, but also too, it's just like, I kind of feel like every part of the movie serves a purpose. And so it's just one of those things, at least to me, where it's just like, I didn't look at the stuff that was happening between Valentina and friggin' Martin Freeman's character and was like, oh, okay, this is just Thunderbolt setup, or this is just, like, it's like, no, like, this serves a purpose inside the context of this movie.
I didn't need that sex scene that they had with those two, though. They could have cut that out. Where they wake up in the morning and they're eating breakfast together. I'm like, okay, we know what y'all are saying. They're trying to put that in there.
And that's what she chooses to say, like, I knew what you were up to the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
like that's why his defenses are down.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense. So I'm just like, dude, like, there's a lot happening in the movie, and everything feels like it's in its place. Like even the Ironheart design, I actually liked. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I get it that it's like, okay, you might be like, oh, that's not the way. No, dude, listen. You say, oh boy, but none of y'all read any Ironheart books, so whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, you all are all welcome to your uninformed opinions.
It looked like Axel. So, it looked like Axel from Mega Man.
I mean, okay.
I thought she was Samus from Metroid.
I mean, she doesn't look like Samus from Metroid. Like she had some. she has some stuff over her shoulders, but it's not the same as like actually having things on her shoulders. Like it's
And how come
different.
she couldn't put an AI in her suit? How come her helmet didn't talk to her
Like why? Like wait a minute now. You want the friggin' MIT undergrad to develop a whole AI?
That was Shuri tech at that point, and Shuri has an AI.
Well, Shuri could have put it in, and
Shuri has her AI. She hasn't put an AI. She hasn't put Trevor Noah into Home Chick's helmet too.
Yeah.
Well, no, because her AI.
Well, her AI when she talking about vision, they're like how come you didn't do it like this? Why didn't you do it like this? I could have did this in a heartbeat.
Her AI was Tony Stark, and you can't.
Who's you're talking about in the comics?
Yeah,
we're not talking about comics.
Okay.
We're talking about MCU.
But I'm saying here, like that's what I'm saying. Like if you put an AR here and it's not Tony Stark, it's just going to be disappointing. So just leave it out.
Well, nobody expects them to get that guy back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if you do, even if you do, he's going to overshadow the whole project. He just has that like gravitas.
Robert Downey.
I feel like you can put Robert Downey Jr. cameo into an Ironheart TV series, and it'll be okay. You could do it. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying like, and to me, it's like it definitely doesn't make sense in the context of this movie.
Well, that's the only way you're gonna stop the incels from rioting by putting them in there. Otherwise, people are like, this is a girl. She's supposed to be smarter than Stark. She's a girl. She's a black girl. Oh my God, she's a black girl. Oh.
Is that what they said about
there it is.
That's what. Well, look, those people just avoided Wakanda forever, all around.
No, in Infinity War, she's smarter than Banner and Stark. Because she's like, why didn't you build them like this? And they're just like, oh.
But it's not smarter. It's just different ways of thinking.
Well, it's kind of smart. It's kind of smart.
No, it's smarter.
Okay, listen. Hey, I'm just saying, like, this is why diversity matters, right? Where it's like one of those things where you have dudes that are brought up in a particular system and they all think in a similar way, and some are better at it than others, but it's like she grows up in a completely different system. I don't even think it's about necessarily her being a woman. She's just like the way they come about their advances in Wakanda is different. It's like, different than how they come up. Wait, let me finish. Is different than the way they come across their advances in America. So it's like she thinks different, and that's why it makes sense. Like, okay, yeah.
And the movie says it like it's like, oh, she's in the equivalent of her Wakandan like junior high. And it's like MIT.
It's MIT, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, MIT, it's a trade college, really, but
Wait, what? It's a trade college?
Yeah, you go there to learn how to like be an engineer. I mean, I got a wrench. I can engineer stuff.
MIT
Tech. Yeah, sure. That's all MIT is.
Oz does have his own Iron Man suit in the garage, so we all know that.
He doesn't have access to a nuclear reactor, so
you can build your own.
Actually,
you can build your own.
It's just
Jerry. What I did want, I got my train of thought back on the rail, and what I did want to ask you is like, man, how's it gonna be when this, because they're doing the Fantastic Four, like it's inevitable. But how about when this like
no more
goes after Sue Richards? Like Reed Richards got no chance, right? Like this motherfucker's a swarthy man of the sea, Latin lover. He can't like with this redesign, this recharacterization. Like Reed Richards got no chance, right?
Nah, this guy ain't no Latin lover. He ain't no Banderas.
I don't know.
Banderas.
Just listen to the way he said.
No more.
He's got one word, man. Fucking Desperado was more Namor than this guy.
Yeah, look. Well,
I was gonna say Antonio Banderas is 100% like 1990s Namor, right? Like 1990s Latin Namor. This one doesn't shave. He shaves, so he's good. No,
you can call him that. He's from Spain. He's the colonizer.
Damn, take that, Antonio. No, but
Yeah.
I mean,
They call him
listen,
Bandera. They call him
Dogfish,
Banderas.
right?
They call him Banderas because that means flag. That's his last name is Flag, and that's the flag that we saw. My ancestors saw as they were like being raped and killed and converted to Christianity.
got it.
Look at dark.
What were you saying, Jay?
Namora has to die first, right? Before you can go after Sue.
I think
Why does he have
so.
to die?
There is because I think it looked in this movie. It looked like they're kind of in a relationship.
Isn't Nomura his like related to him?
It's like it's cousin by
Oh.
marriage, but yeah, but
By marriage. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So listen, I mean, I will say that
everybody's technically a cousin in Mexico. Like that's how you say, "Hey, what's up?" You get, "Hey, primo," you know.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like Sue Richards and Namor is the same thing like Jean Grey and Wolverine, right? Like it's not about like, oh, the look or the feel or whatever. At the end of the day, like they know,
but the characterization, like you characterize Wolverine a certain way, and Sue Richards a certain way. I don't think Sue Richards can get away from this Namor. Or I'm sorry, Namor.
I mean, at the end of the day, like she's gonna go back to Reed because Reed's the tried and true, right? Namor's the bad boy, right?
Namor is the child without love, so he will have no love.
Yeah,
he's
he'll work hard
exciting in the
to get
moment.
it. Hey, look, she can't be invisible enough for him. He'll try hard to get it.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't pursue that whole line of thing at all, which is sad
they
in
can't
some
do that.
ways.
Yeah, they can't do that. Like
They could.
Like they'd lose the whole Midwest as a market.
You can't have Mexicans with white women. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. It's easier to have black people with white women than you can have Mexicans.
Yeah, you put
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like
no,
they're
they
good.
can't. Like
So
with a Mexican taking a white woman, it's like, man, they're really taking our jobs. Like you can prove it now.
they're taking our jobs. Well, look at the movies.
Yeah,
I think it's upsetting that we found out that T'Challa doesn't use condoms too.
yeah, no, he doesn't.
Well,
Why
I
would
mean,
he?
does he not? Right. Like, it's not that he doesn't use condoms. It's like he didn't need a condom, right?
What do you mean he didn't need a condom?
No, why would he though? Like, I mean, I saw Lupita in that outfit.
Grab that rascal.
Yeah, he's more Mexican than we.
He had an unknown disease, and he's still going in
Look, he
raw.
probably did use a condom, but Lupita's real Mexican, and that shit don't work.
He knew he had a disease. he
knew Mexicans are very
that he was sick, and he's like, you know what, I'm going anyway. Come on.
I mean, it's not an STD.
You don't know that. You don't know. It's an unknown illness.
Nah, but the illness came after the fact because it was before the snap.
Oh, she gave it to him? That's a bigger reason.
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
no.
You don't have it because she's still alive.
She was hanging out in Haiti. You don't know what you can get in Haiti.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're gonna go and meet a Haitian girl and say, you know what? I'm gonna flip a coin. Like I don't no.
So, are we ready to rate this, or is there more to talk about?
I'm ready to rate it.
I have
one more thing to say.
With the N word.
I have a lot more to talk about, but I don't even know if I can do it here.
Doesn't Shuri have to go beat the shit out of that little black kid now to be the true Black Panther?
Eventually, yeah.
Well, he has to challenge her.
By all rights, he is the king of Wakanda, right?
He has to challenge for the throne. M'Baku is really the king right now.
Yeah, he's the king.
Well,
why is M'Baku the king?
That kid.
Because he goes and says, "Look, I'm going to challenge for the throne. Who's going to stand against me? Nobody does." So he gets it.
But that's a joke, right? That's not a
no. Like he's legitimately the king of Wakanda now.
Yeah,
I don't think
that
so.
works. In Wakanda,
Like-
you become the king through battle.
Yeah, they don't have elections in Wakanda. They can have Trump had to beat the crap out of Biden if they're in Wakanda.
Yeah.
Which is why Shuri
who knows? Maybe
a little kid.
Like that could be the case where it's like maybe Shuri's like, hey, I don't need to be the queen. I just need to be Black Panther, and that's enough.
Well, she did. That was the whole point. She didn't see herself worthy of ruling because she was making bad choices, whereas the good choices were the ones that M'Baku advised her to do.
With Namor, she proved she was a leader though by not killing him.
She didn't kill him because of M'Baku's words. Like, hey,
he's a good advisor,
right? So he's a better ruler.
No,
see, I'm just like, I don't understand how we're gonna give M'Baku the credit. Like M'Baku didn't say to her, "Don't kill him."
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
When
he said, if you kill him, you're gonna martyr him because they worship this guy as a god, and we're never gonna get out of this.
Where the whole speech where he says they don't call him king, they call him the Kukulkan, feathered serpent god. When he said that was because of that, because he's like, if you kill him, you're making him a martyr, and then we'll never have peace.
Yeah, if you kill him, they're never gonna forgive that. They're never gonna stop. That was the whole point of that.
In the words of M'Baku, eternal war.
Okay, so we're gonna mess around and be like, oh, okay, M'Baku deserves to be king because he gave.
We're not saying
advice.
We're not saying he deserves to be king. Don't forget that. Shuri let him be king because of that. It was up to Shuri.
Yeah.
I don't know,
but
look,
either way,
I don't believe that's how that's gonna.
I understand you don't understand African culture like we do.
Yeah, that's what hey, I'm not African. I don't know. So, but
Larry Young does worship the Queen since he's from Belize, and they are ruled by the Queen of England. So
you know, Belize is thinking about leaving the Commonwealth, right?
They can think about. They've been thinking about it for years. I bet.
They didn't think about it for years. They only thought about it recently after Elizabeth died. Now they're like, wait a minute, we don't know this trust.
Now they get a backbone. Now that the Queen's in a box, they're like, oh,
yeah, they like her. They don't like him.
I think you just wait a couple years, you'll get Harry.
Charles, what do you feel? Wait,
Charles is like in his 80s, isn't he? He's not gonna be there long.
Nah, like his mom lived till the 90s, so he don't look like it's not like he's done heavy lifting in his life.
Right.
Like,
this fool's not that old.
Yeah, nah, hey, look, I can look at him and tell his cholesterol levels are fine.
His cholesterol levels. Yeah. But anyway.
Older than him? Isn't Camille or whatever older than Charles?
I think so.
Ew.
But it doesn't matter. So Derek H, man. What would you rate?
I still have a lot to say about Black.
What do you want to say?
One shot.
It's gonna be like a half-hour rant, so I'll probably do it after the 2-hour mark, if that's fine.
So then, what are you bringing it up for?
Just to let you know that after the 2-hour mark, we still got a show to do.
Got it. Yeah, Joe. Joe. You're not gonna be here for the show after the show.
I always listen the next day.
Yeah. And he doesn't really care what I think about the killing Christians and all that.
Yeah. But like and subscribe and
I really don't.
Yeah, I know you don't. That's how I'm saving it till you're fast asleep like a little baby.
Yeah.
So then, so should we do ratings or not do ratings?
Yes, we should do ratings.
Yeah. Okay.
Derek H. I'm not.
Or don't. Either way, let's get to Fantastic Four because I have a little bit to say on that.
Y'all done?
Yeah. As far as MCU movies, I will give this. I would say a solid 8. They've been getting better. They're obviously trying to get away. They're trying to get away from the formula that they set up, but they are getting to the DC mode. It looks like where they're doing a whole lot. They're trying to set a lot of stuff up. They're trying to build now they have these phases. They're like, oh, we got to build up phase 5 now. So we'll talk about this and talk about this and talk about this and talk about this. instead of just talking about the story. So that part, that as far as that part is concerned, I'll go down to a 6.5, 7. But as a Marvel movie on its own, I'll give it a 8.
8 out of 5. That's high praise, man. Thanks.
Oh, out of 5? It's not a 5. If it's not a 5, then I'll say I thought it was out of 10. Excuse me for being able to count.
5, yeah.
I would say as a Marvel movie, a 4. As entry to the next phase, a 3.
Okay, got it. All right, Oz, what would you rate Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
Two numbers. As far as watching in the theater, 2.5. If you already got Disney Plus and you got nothing to do, 3.
It's not on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. But no. Review your experience in the theater.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
Like not
so
worth
2.5.
not worth the price of the bucket, which I forgot to bring. I was going to use it as a prop. Now it's in the car.
You didn't even like the Aztec Mayan stuff, representation and all that. Doesn't give it an extra point.
No, that was actually kind of insulting.
Why?
All of a sudden, Oz is a departed Mexican now.
No, but why was it insulting?
Before he was like he was actually saying build a wall. I remember him saying build a wall, build a wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, this needs more Mayan stuff in there. Like, okay, Trump.
Why was it
I don't know how
insulting?
this isn't red anymore. You
I'm pretty sure I just said it was insulting. I didn't say more Mayan. Like I don't know what show Derek's listening to, but it ain't us.
But why was it insulting?
It was just didn't like it.
No, but give me a reason why you didn't like it. Define the word without using the word in the definition. I guess is the way that I can explain it fast. Why was it insulting? Why didn't you like it?
I didn't like it primarily because I wanted Atlantis.
So
Again, that has nothing to do with Mayan. That's a bias. That's a comic bias. I get that. No. Why was the Mayan stuff insulting, as he said, insulting?
They had on their wall of prophecy a legend of a Kukulkan fighting the Black Panther. Like that's not an actual legend. Like they just
right.
He
painted that after the battle.
Though.
Yeah, he did after the battle.
It feels like this movie used the history of my people, the cultural,
my people,
the cultural past of my ancestors, to make money and subvert the fact that they couldn't actually use Namor the Said Mariner because Universal owns the rights.
Wait, Universal owns the rights to Namor?
They own the distribution rights. That's why they haven't been able to make a Namor movie. And it's one of those things like how how companies always screw over the creators, where they change a character just enough to get around certain rules. That's the
first I've heard of that.
This movie isn't about those changes weren't because Marvel or Disney were concerned about representation. It was because they wanted to make money, and Universal owns distribution rights, so they had to change the character enough to be able to use them like that without giving any money to Universal or even the creators.
Well, you said they put a lesbian couple in at the end. Just they didn't care about LGBT diversity.
Look, I accept your answer, Oz. I guess. I mean, he wasn't painting a prophecy. He was painting something that happened, and yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That's
he's
the way.
Even the feathered serpent. He's the feathered fat guy.
Damn, you call that guy fat?
Yeah. For a superhero, man. Like, look, I'm
come on. No, listen. Yeah. Look, don't do that with the caveat. He's fat. Come on, get out of here with that.
I saw Black Adam. That dude's fat. He ain't no Rock.
Like, no, but very few of us are the Rock. But I'm just saying, like, this fool is leaner than
ever in movies.
Okay, hey, listen. I would not call that guy fat.
Well, the Indian guy in Eternals slimmed down.
Yeah, he was okay. Steroid.
And you know what? You don't even see his body with the costume that he wears. Like, so he put in the work, and he didn't have to.
I used to be a Camille Nanjiani fan until Eternals.
Okay. Jay, what would you rate Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
I would give it a 4. It was
Okay.
fun. I like Ross. There were things that I didn't like, but overall, it was a pretty enjoyable experience.
Give me the top 3
Okay.
things you didn't like.
Riri's attitude, the Ironheart suit design, and
So everything Riri, everything about
that
Riri.
I don't even
No.
look. I asked Jay, not Derek. Go ahead.
Nomura's costume or her clothing, that was a little off-putting to me, like appropriate but off-putting.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Cool. Moses Magnum, what would you rate Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
Look, I know we're doing 5, not 10, but it's like an 8. And it felt like reading a trade paperback of a comic that I should have read when it was monthly. You know, it just all the they had the mini arcs hitting the right spots, even with the ancillary stuff or superfluous things. I don't know what ancillary or superfluous mean, by the way, but I think I'm using them right. But aside from that, like, yeah, it's even the stuff that could have been trimmed out, the fat that could have been trimmed out, just made it tastier as a whole product. So leaving it in was fine for me. As far as like the way they handled the mind, like, you know, you guys don't remember, but I went on a whole rant of how Wonder Woman 1984 handled Mayans. And that was the same shit you saw here was the same mythology this motherfucker was talking there. It didn't feel half as grounded, half as real, half as like valid. Like, and they got an Indian guy to play a Mayan dude, and that was an insult to me and the little 1/16th of my blood. And seeing how they did it here, whether it was for profit or not, it worked for me. And yeah, it was when Tiger Claw asked if you cried, when this motherfucker said Bosh Balam in Yucatec Mayan, and I'm like, man, they're actually talking about, you know, anybody else would have used the other words like Zapotec. Like half of these motherfuckers that talk about like Apocalypto is supposed to be about our people too. And it's not. The language they use is Guatemalan Mayan because that's the language that's still alive. It's not the one that's extinct. My language is extinct. My mom's the only one in the family that speaks it. She didn't want to teach it to me because it's pagan and she loves Christ. You know, because they fucked her grandmother into loving Christ.
Christ is awesome.
Yeah. Look, I just saw a transforming video. Like, there's a transformer. You get a crucifix and it transforms into a robot Christ. Yeah, this is fucking great. Yeah, Christ is awesome. Like, if Christ was as awesome, he couldn't subjugate whole civilizations into believing in him. So yeah, Christ is awesome. But
Well, Christ was from Wakanda. He's a black man, so
yeah. Again, yeah. That's what they don't want you to think. But yeah. But seeing that like represented the way it was with the actual dialect, like I was like, I wrote down the words and I'm like, Mom, what's this mean? And she's like, yeah, that's it. Usually when I bought textbooks, I bought like courses of trying to learn the language because she didn't want to teach it to me. And then I just tell her the shit the movie said, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's it." Usually with the other stuff, she's like, "No, that's not how they're telling it to you wrong. That's not how it is." And the way this movie did, like, it actually, if it was for profit, like Oz says, like they invested a lot to get that profit because it was actually like there's very few words that I could understand. And when I could, I'm like, okay, that's it. Yeah, you know, the ones that I can understand. I still like, you know, I wish they would have said Kamalentu Holanai Kotich Pelana, like but you know, they're not gonna say that in a Disney movie. You know,
What's that mean?
that means that when I walk by your house, I look through your window and you were playing with your pussy.
What? Why would you say that?
Lawrence, does
How did that become a thing?
Well, it's a lullaby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lawrence, does,
Okay.
You could tech minds are really fucking vulgar. Like
No,
they're like
I'm just saying, like, what's the meaning of that though?
it's a song. It's just like a folk song in little town. Yeah,
Okay.
like I think Oz was there when I was trying to get my mom to sing it at Comic-Con one day. You're like, Oz, you got to hear this song.
there's a lot of times you would say something, or she'd just look at you, and you could see the love, but also a little bit of disgust.
Who, my mom? Yeah, she hates me.
Lawrence, does Mother Young speak Mayan?
No.
It's still spoken
You know,
in the movie.
I feel like my grandpa did though. Because
Yeah.
but mom did not. But grandpa on my mom's side, her dad, he was
Yeah.
definitely like, yeah,
I think my
he
grandma
was he had
spoke
like
some of it,
deep
but she-
Mayan blood, huh?
I think my grandma spoke some of it, but she's dead now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I
Yeah.
were to show you a picture of my grandma, maybe I'll show it after you know we're off air. But you look at her and she's like a little like the little lady from Coco. Yeah, that's how she. And you know, I never really got to meet. She met me. I was like 1 or 2, and she used to speak to me in the language, but because she didn't speak Spanish. So, but yeah, seeing how the movie handled it, like that, like when Tiger Claw asked, "Did you cry to it?" Like hearing the language expressed the way it was, and the feeling through it, like killing the Christians, that shit gave me so much joy.
This is really cool. You can almost see you can almost see Moses tearing up, like he's about to
Yeah,
cry.
no, dude. Like I'm
You
not
don't understand how much he hates Christians.
No, it's not even hate. Like I don't hate. I hate Christ. Christians.
Wait a minute, you can't hate Christ. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
no. Like when people ask me if I'm a Satanist, I say yes because the word Satan means enemy and adversary, and I am an adversary of Christ. I'm an enemy of Christ, and I'll say that till the day I fucking die. That'll probably be my last word. But as far as Christian people go, like I try to differentiate between Christ and the Christian people. Some people are good. Some people, like, there's a lot of bad Christians, but their fellow Christians are keeping them in check. And you got to be your brother's keeper. That's what the good book says. So you got.
So why do you hate Christ if you know it's the Christians that are doing bad?
Because he's not doing anything about it. Like if he's so all powerful, why doesn't he stop the shit that's done in his name? He's got the copyright. He's got the trademark.
It's free
If
will.
he's all powerful, why can't he stop it?
God gave us free will, so that's why he doesn't do all that.
Look, yeah, if he gave us free will, then is he really even God? My mom does an argument with me where he's like, "You don't believe in God, but he believes in you," and I'm like, "Well, if he's hopelessly believing in one thing, then you humans are really built in his image." Because it's like I don't affect his life, and he doesn't affect mine. Like, why would he even bother believing in me? Yeah,
that's dark.
Yeah, no. So,
are you not worth believing in?
No, what? What for? Why should I? I'm nobody. I'm just a speck, infinitesimal speck of stardust in this universe, just flowing around till I'm extinguished. The little bit of energy I have is extinguished.
The same atoms that make up you were here at the beginning of the universe. The exact same ones.
Yeah.
I feel like there are lots of people that exist that, you know, it's like, I don't want people to die.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, like people that I like or that I don't have any feelings towards, I don't want them to die.
Yeah.
But I would feel like empathy if they did die.
On an individual level, I can feel that. As a group, I don't. Humanity loses its the beauty that you see in a human, in a baby when it's born. Like you see the universe in his eyes, you can see the potential of what the baby could be. They lose that once they become part of a system, of a religion, of a ideology, of a school, of a workplace. They lose all that. They become tribal, and they just become disgusting
This is
human
a
being.
long way to go for a 4 rating.
Yeah. No, I give it 8 out of
8.
5.
8 out of 5.
8 out of 5. Yeah. No,
And
it's
I'm
4
gonna
times.
go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and give it 4.5 out of 5. I liked it a lot, so I thought it was a great movie. I'm looking forward to the next viewing. We should move on to Fantastic Four #1.
Okay,
So,
I did not. I
let's
did not
Are
play
we
see
sure we don't
comic
have
book.
any
I'm
more
gonna go.
tangents?
Bye, guys.
All
I
right,
mean,
Derek.
I
Thanks for
agree, but
calling
you're
in.
leaving in like 4 minutes, so
Oh, he hung up on himself.
I
Yeah.
had a tangent, but
So
you're leaving in 4 minutes. So Fantastic Four #1, go.
let's play some comic
Fantastic
book
Four,
review
sorry.
music.
No, that's gonna take like a quarter of the time Jay's got left. We
No
can't
more.
play anything. We gotta just go. We'll play it after he leaves. How about that?
Where's that?
I got a lighter.
So-
I don't know why.
Cue my music.
Really?
Damn it, Moses.
I'm gonna give you that intro. You're just gonna stay quiet, Jay.
Comic book
Review.
like
Review.
well not like that, but like
Will you stay
All
longer
right.
if I give you a life mushroom?
Oh, I fucked up.
Silence. Jay. No, you don't need the banner, Jay. Tell us what you think of
So
Fantastic Four
#1 is Ben, and I don't remember the wife's name, blind wifey.
Alicia.
Alicia.
Masters, right?
Yeah,
they're,
Alicia Masters.
They're basically vacationing, trying to get out of New York for a little while, because there's a giant asshole in it. And
There's a giant asshole in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, giant
Only
asshole.
one?
More than one.
Only one?
They only show one.
There's many giant assholes in New York. Everyone knows it about New Yorkers.
So they run into this town that disappeared, and it turns out it didn't disappear. It's actually on a time loop. And they're in this time loop town, and they try to figure out why it's looping and to stop it. And, they go through many days and nights going through the same shit. Then they kind of Groundhog Day and talk to everybody. They figure it out. They fix it. And basically, it's a wonderful life from there. So I was pleasantly surprised reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to Fantastic Four being good. I am not used to Fantastic Four being fun. And are you dying?
I'm used to Fantastic Four being good. Go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead. No.
If you read the comic, yeah.
I read the comic, but go. Jay's got less time than me. Go.
Yeah. Fantastic Four isn't usually fun, and this one was, and I enjoyed it. The art was good, not the cover. The cover was kind of lame.
That trash Alex Ross cover.
Yes. The thing looks all weird. Like he looks like a thing on the cover.
Does he look better? Does he look better in the actual book than the cover?
Yes.
Really? Like that? Look, go ahead.
No,
because at one point that eyebrow looks like he's wearing a baseball hat, and I didn't like that.
At one point, but I feel like the majority of the time he looks pretty decent.
Okay.
But I was on my phone, so my phone is small. But I did read it, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Like I said, Fantastic Four isn't usually fun. This book was. I will give it a 5.
There it is. I will say if you read the back matter, like like a lot of issue ones have like the either the editor or the writer, or sometimes the writer and the artist, like, and they talk to the audience about their
Yeah.
thoughts about the book and why they're writing it. And literally the writer says Fantastic Four, it should be fun. And that's like Joe's gone. And Joe's gone at the 2-hour mark. Exactly. No, but that was like one of the things that he says, like, straight up, like, I brought this document in to the editor, like, Fantastic Four should be fun, and this is my thoughts on how we make sure that this book is that, And yeah, I'd have to agree with Joe. Like, I think that this book does show, like, it accomplishes that mission. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
Larry, do you think this is better than Dan Slott's run of Fantastic Four?
I mean, obviously it's hard to speak on it, like, comparatively, considering, like, one is like one issue and the other one is an entire run. What I can say is
I know you were critical of Dan Slott's run, and you read.
Right.
I know you read at least one issue. So
Oh yeah,
a one.
I'm just saying that more so. I'm saying, like, if your question you're asking me is, do I like this more than what I read from Dan Slott's run? I am definitely more hopeful about this than
but liking it. Like,
no, I like what I read for this issue more than what I ended up reading for Dan Slott's run. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I felt like Dan Slott's run, I was hopeful for in the initial issues, and what it ended up becoming, I wasn't as big of a fan of. Like, I feel like Dan Slott's, like, I was reading Fantastic Four and excited for Dan Slott's run of Fantastic Four initially, and then after I got outside of, like, maybe like that first, like, 5 or 6 issues, I was like, yeah, I don't know that I necessarily need to keep up with this. Like, I know it ended with Reckoning War, which is something that he had been kind of like planting seeds for like almost a decade. But at the end of the day, I didn't read it because I'm just like, I'll get to it maybe one day. But Fantastic Four didn't hold my attention in the same way that I would have hoped. It's just like it like, I don't feel like Dan Slott had the same enthusiasm for Fantastic Four that he did for Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah. So I do feel like this is like, this first issue definitely made me excited for the next one, which is not something I can necessarily say about every first issue. So I don't know, but what did you think? I mean, I know that, you're a big Dan Slott fan, and I know that, but at the same time, I don't know, did you read any of his Fantastic Four run?
I read a little bit. I couldn't keep up with it just timing wise.
Yeah.
But it definitely, but I am a Fantastic Four fan, and I've read,
Right.
Weed's run, Slott's run, Jeff
Right.
Johns' run. Like, I read maybe once a year. I'll spend a month catching up on Fantastic Four
Right.
sometime in my life. Once a year I'll catch
Right.
up. And yeah, reading this one, this felt like an in between the arcs. Like, this issue one, like,
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if it's like, aftermath issue after what Dan Slott did, or what, or what they're doing, but as a story in itself, it was like, okay, I'm getting this little supernatural adventure where I'm used to, the way that it all played out wasn't how I'm used to Fantastic Four stories playing out. Like, they're more sci-fi,
right,
or grounded.
Right.
Like, they explain what is, like, his wish, the way he manipulates the quantum fabric of that time. Like, usually it's a Molecule Man story like this in Fantastic Four. And so here I'm waiting for something like that, and I didn't get any of that. No explanation. It's just literally like Joe said. He said it as a good thing. I say it as a bad thing. It's like the It's a Wonderful Life thing, like motif. There's no real explanation on anything, and there's no real solution other than like this faith-based mystical shit, and that's not what I go to Fantastic Four books for, you know.
Now, why do you feel like it's faith-based mystical?
Well, you have to have faith in the comic to be like, okay, this is just how this works right now. I even tried to make little caveats within my head while reading it, like, okay, well, it's like WandaVision, like, there's these weird towns in the Marvel universe where these weird things happen for whatever reason, whether it's um Attilan or Attilan or whatever. I don't know how the MCU calls it now. Like taking over that little Ohio place, or Molecule Man taking over that town, or now with MCU with WandaVision taking over Westview. So like there's always this weird there's these weird towns. So I'm like, okay, it's a weird town. Okay, that's a Marvel thing. I get this. I've read enough comics. There's a couple Ghost Rider stories that do that. Okay. The Ghost Rider story being, if it was a Ghost Rider story like this, it would be an out of character Ghost Rider story, but it would make a lot more sense. With the way his books are, it's not the way that now, granted, they did use Alicia Masters and the Thing as the protagonist, so that makes it easier because it's not Reed trying to figure it out as these guys,
right?
So it's something they can do. I don't think Reed would put up with this bullshit. Like, he's like, you know what? Let me fix this quantum fabric real quick. It'll be done in 3 seconds. So yeah, and so that alone, like, it threw me off. But the way the story worked out and what they set up for the next issue with, like, it's more about how the Thing is dealing with Reed and the giant asshole in New York. It turns out there's 2 giant assholes. The one in New York and Reed. Yeah. And so I can see where I would want to read more as a first issue. I mean, it did its job, but it's definitely like, you can't be bringing this shit for Fantastic Four to me month to month.
Interesting. Okay. No, and I get where you're coming from. And you know what? I'm gonna address it, but I want to hear from Oz first.
If it was Star Trek, it'd be one of the shitty, like, weird Star Trek hokey episodes, like the fairy tale episodes.
Okay. So Oz, what did you think of the book?
So this is ongoing. It's not a one shot, right?
Yeah, ongoing book.
I read it,
first issue of the new volume,
and it felt like the Thing one shot. It says Fantastic Four, but you get like the Thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a good story. It's self-contained, which is why I actually thought it was a one shot. It's self-contained. They show up to this place, they solve a mystery, and then at the end they're moving on. I could see why somebody wanting a Fantastic Four book would be a little bit disappointed, but that's at the same time, it's a good story,
right?
Like, you can complain that you only get Fantastic 1.2, but it's a good story. It's engrossing. Like, you want to see what happens. You want to see how they, like, just the pages of them trying to, like, figure this out Groundhog Day style.
Right.
And the Thing running in, like, doing his thing and just being silly, the silly Thing. Like, it's just good.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it.
There you go. Yeah. So I know for me, like, my whole thing was, I get what you're saying, Moses, because I agree that if this was a full Fantastic Four story, it would have played out completely different. Because you're right, like, it's not enough to solve the problem for, like, a Reed Richards. He's like, I need to know why this happened, and, like, what's the, like, why can this guy do this? And if it was like all of the characters together, we would have gotten that. I think I do, and I do agree with the sentiment that both you and Oz kind of put forward. Whereas, like, I obviously read this issue expecting a Fantastic Four story, but it is a Ben Grimm story, or a Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters, actually, because I feel like she plays just as important of a role in this book as he does, but which is not what I was expecting, because it's like it says Fantastic Four 4-1 on the cover, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get a Fantastic Four story, but realistically, you get like Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters, and it's like, okay, like they're obviously doing their own thing, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's not indicative of a bad story when you see those two doing their thing.
Absolutely not. Like, and again, which I think we can probably all agree on, is this is a good story. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may not be a typical Fantastic Four story, but that's because you don't have all of the Fantastic Four there, and especially like I think, see, like, and this is the thing for me where you said it was kind of like mystical, like magical kind of thing, and it's like it's not. It doesn't come across to me as mystical magical. It just comes across as Ben Grimm dealing with the problem the way he knows how to, as opposed to how Reed Richards would. Because Reed Richards would have figured it out. Like, why is this happening? But Ben Grimm can't do that, and Alicia Masters isn't going to do that either. So it's like there's probably a very scientific explanation for why this guy can do what he's doing, whether it's X gene or whether it's some sort of, like they were talking about the nuclear testing, a scientific explanation about his DNA being recombined somehow, celestial DNA, who knows? But that's not the story we got, because all it is Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters. So it's literally a story about them relating to all the people in the town to try to figure out how it is that we fix this problem. And that's
even
really
like helping this dude cope with a breakup. Like, I literally plagiarized the writer today, later on in my workday, helping somebody cope with their breakup. And I just said what Alicia Masters and Ben Grimm said. Like, it's like wisdom from comics. Like on that level, like the way they handled it from a human interaction point was beautiful.
Right. No, I agree. And it felt very in character.
I'll get that from an X-Men comic or a Spider-Man comic, not a Fantastic Four comic. Yeah.
And I just think that it's one of these things where I was like, this isn't what I was expecting, but I can't knock it because it doesn't feel like it's not Fantastic Four. It's just not the Fantastic Four that I would have thought. Like this definitely, like, just the same way how you said it kind of felt like an in-between issue. It's like I can totally see that, because it does feel like the kind of thing that you wouldn't necessarily begin your run doing. But if you begin your run doing it like this, that's like a statement piece in a way, where it's like, I need you to know that when I'm doing Fantastic Four, this is what you can expect. And I'm not sure that I can be mad at that, because it set a tone for the entire series. Because in my mind, and looking at what the cover for the next issue, I'm like, okay, so the Fantastic Four is estranged right now, which happens periodically, right? Because they're family, and that's what happens with family sometimes.
Yeah,
so
that's the part of the beauty of the book.
Right. So Ben, and based on, even how it ends before you get to like the crater, but him just talking to Alicia about, hey, like basically talking about his relationship to everybody else in the group. You can tell, like, okay, something happened, and we don't know what that is, but they give us a teaser at the end, like, oh, it went bad in New York, and everybody went their separate ways. So based on that, along with the cover for the next book is like, okay, issue 2, we're gonna do Reed and Sue, and it'll probably be just those two. Maybe we get the kids. I don't know. Like Reed and Sue, and like I'm talking about like Franklin and Valeria. I don't know, but it feels like issue 2 is going to be about them, and so I'm expecting that issue 3 will probably be Johnny, and then by the time that's done, issue 4 very well might be them having to come back together for whatever reason, which is like not what I would expect from a Fantastic Four series initially. But if that's how it ends up being, and the 4th issue is actually the first issue where all 4 of them are together, I don't know that I can be mad at that. Like that feels like a really interesting and cool kind of thing, because maybe we might get some answers by then in regards to what happened in New York. That, like, it looks like the Baxter Building's gone. I don't know what happened, and it feels like it's not a Reckoning War thing. It feels like this is something else. So I'm like, okay, like they're seeding that mystery. I'm intrigued, and I get to catch up with all the characters, and then we're going to bring them all together. I'm like, I'm down for that. So, it's interesting too, because I felt like I really did enjoy the art of the book. But now that you said the whole thing about the baseball cap, I'm like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Like that's a thing.
And when you're gonna talk shit about the cover, like compared to like you're liking the story and the art, we talk shit about the cover. I have to bring it up because I actually pulled pages and I didn't load them into my little cloud here, so I can't show them. I got you. But there's literally like 2 pages. Like I want to say, when in the confusion of the hotel room, where like the thing is mad expressive, and it's like, dude, like getting that. Like the artist has made it seem seamless. He just the panels just flowed with his expression, and to me, like that's the beauty of drawing the thing. Like, yeah, that's the baseball cap thing. Like, I didn't like that at all. Like,
but it's also a good example of the expressive face. Like,
right?
Like,
yeah.
I agree with you that like this, like he has like a unibrow thing going on, and the thing has ridged eyebrows, but it's not a unibrow.
You're right. Like if you look at the cover and compare it to this, it's a better like to me. This is the problem I have with people drawing the thing. Like you got to get the brow right, like that Kirby brow. Like that's one of the thing. Like even the cartoon did it. The Channel 5 cartoon. But yeah, I think maybe after that, or maybe before, throughout the whole book, the thing is really expressive, and what the way that the like they calling him a monster. He's like, I'm not a monster. Like that whole thing with the thing, I love. One of the things I love about the thing altogether, and they played that up here in this book. So I can't really knock the book, but I can bringing it up with like the Dan Slott, because I know a lot of people didn't like the Dan Slott run, and he didn't do as much as he could have with the Fantastic Four, and he's also following like everything Hickman has ever done, which is a big that's a big like a tough act to follow,
It really is.
So like even
so
like
I mean, right here.
Yeah, so people following anybody following Dan Slott on Spider-Man is a tough act to follow, but he went to another book. Like, I almost wish he would have just done like a Walking Dead one shot or something after,
Yeah, I hear you. I think you're right. Where it's like it's all like there was a point, or I like Hickman was a special time in Fantastic Four. Dan Slott was a really special time in Spider-Man, and I know that I haven't really enjoyed. I didn't enjoy a Nick Spencer Spider-Man run anywhere near what I did Dan Slott's. And
look, let me remove this my Naruto ramen that I have right here. Naruto ramen, not sponsored, but I this is the next book I'm reading. It's the next one on my stack. and it's Amazing
Is that
Spider-Man #1, Zeb Wells, John
yeah?
Romita Jr. It's a year. I just realized today it's a year old because I went and looked, and they're on issue
Oh
like
wow,
11. Yeah, so
that's
I still
crazy.
haven't read it. But when it was Dan Slott's run, like I never missed.
Every week.
I never missed. Yeah, every
I
2
feel like
weeks.
that joint was
there-
bi-weekly too, so it's like every other week.
Yeah, it's. I think it still is bi-weekly, but nobody cares.
Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. So also too, like I mentioned here, like um the writer is Ryan North, and
Mhm.
like I'll go ahead and share this too, so you all can see it. But basically, like this is like his like what he said was the thesis in regards to what Fantastic Four was all about for him, and like the Fantastic Four are fun, the Fantastic Four are adventurers, the Fantastic Four can do anything, the Fantastic Four are accessible, and just basically talking about like this is like from his perspective, he's like this is what Fantastic Four is about, and I think that like when Jay was like, hey, this joint was fun, it's like that was intentional, and that's the thing. Like I think that was a part of like Dan Slott's run of Fantastic Four definitely got the adventurer aspect part of it
Yeah,
going for it. I don't know that it necessarily did like the fun aspect to it. It depended on what issue you're talking about, like
yeah,
and not necessarily either. Like the idea of them being like accessible, like being characters that were like of the people, you know, and that's like
and
something
look,
like this issue. Hmm?
Jonathan Hickman's run didn't make him. I don't feel made him accessible to a dummy like me.
No,
Like
no,
it
absolutely
was
not. Like,
just having like Valeria like plot with Doctor Doom, but
right.
it's like Valeria is not like she's not evil, and she's like her intellect is just far beyond good and evil. It's like those concepts
Hmm.
are just that's your petty bullshit as a human. Like we're thinking for the future, you know. Like I love that. Like I love that, even though I
Hmm.
can't understand it. Yeah.
No, like Jonathan Hickman definitely makes high concept stuff often enough. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, but like Ryan North is like not only is he talking about it from the perspective of like, hey, like the characters are out and among the people, but also too, he's just like, dude, like I'm writing a book that is for people that's read every issue of Fantastic Four, and I'm writing a book for the person that this might be their first issue of Fantastic Four they've ever read. And it's crazy because it's like that's really hard to do. But if you make that your like a goal, it becomes more accessible or more likely to happen because you're like, well, I'm making it that, and I think that that's something that like I feel like Dan Slott's run was definitely for like diehard Fantastic Four fans, and you know, uh, I'm not sure that you could say Jonathan Hickman is. I don't know if that was for diehard fans or first timers. It might just be like Jonathan Hickman just doing Jonathan Hickman. He's like, I read a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff. And it's like, and I'm about to wow you. Like, and that's but I think that some people liked it, some people didn't. But
While we're on that subject, and I can do a tangent that's not really a big tangent, not a far
yeah,
stretch, but like you watch the trailer for Quantumania, and
yes,
you see Quang in the quantum. Like, how do you feel about that?
you know, um, I don't have. I'm interested to figure or to find out what the explanation is.
Okay.
And there's theories out there about the whole thing because it's like the whole thing, at least in the MCU, is that Kang is in a war with like versions of himself. Like,
Okay.
he who remains is
Yeah.
trying to avert like an entire like his whole purpose was trying to avert a
Yeah.
war between like realities, and that failed based on what happened in Loki, basically. And now everything is
And
like, sure, right. You can put WandaVision in there
have
too,
you
but
seen that video where they play the final episodes in sync,
I
like
did
side
see
by
that.
side?
Yeah, and that's really interesting. Right. But if it turns out, because there's like theories where people are like, Kang is in the quantum realm because time and space work differently in there than it does outside of the quantum realm. And so that's like
Yeah.
one of the only places he can actually like hide.
Okay.
It's like, if that turns out to be the case, because he's hiding from like other versions of himself, or he who remains as the version of himself that is like hunting, and making sure like reality stays on the rails, that would be satisfying. If they just are like, oh, he was just there, or they're like, oh, Kang was born in the quantum realm or something like that, that would be disappointing. I'm just like, why? Like, that's a weird change that I don't understand. So
Well,
we'll see
even
how
like
it turns out.
the reason I bring it up, because the way that I see the trailer, and I've watched it 3 times on YouTube, and then I watched it before Wakanda Forever, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like that meme where the guy's explaining the thing to the chick, and the chick's just rolling her eyes, like it's like,
Mm-hmm.
Emily. I was like, that feels like a Fantastic Four story with a nihilist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and I'm like getting aggravated, and she's just lovingly rolling her eyes.
Right.
But but yeah, it's just like, I'm like, like it's putting a sour taste in my mouth before the like it's everything I saw for Wakanda Forever in the trailer. This is the opposite effect with Quantumania. Like, every time I watch it, my mouth gets more and more sour, because it's like, this should be like, I just feel like it should be a Fantastic Four story. Now, I don't believe it can't be a Hank Pym story, but it just, the
Right.
way that it looks, it just looks like that Annihilus, that quintessential Annihilus
Yeah, like a
comic
negative
book,
zone-ish kind of thing. Yeah. No, I
Right.
feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it was like a nihilist in the quantum realm, that would definitely, like, it would be much more palatable. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know that I would need an
But
explanation. I would
that's
just be like,
at that movie. Yeah. Like,
huh?
I wouldn't want to see. I don't want to see that in this Ant-Man movie.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's an introduction. You know what I mean? Where it's just like in the same way, like there's definitely a part of me that could have said or could have felt like, oh well, why are we bringing Thanos into an Avengers movie? It should be
Yeah.
like a cosmic movie. It should be like Annihilation, or it should be like Infinity Watch or something like that. Something on a grander scale. But it's like, they're they're paring the movies down so that they can be consumable to a mass audience. So it's like, I don't know. I think I can be okay with it, I think, at this point. But one day, who knows? Maybe we'll get 1-to-1 adaptations, but not today.
At this point, I don't even want those. I just like, I ju- you know, I'm having less and less conflicts because they're all happening there in the trailers, and then when I watch the actual execution,
Right.
then I'm
It
like, okay,
works.
I'm good. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and like, when they introduce these new characters like Riri Williams, like, I'm glad I never read any of her comics, because I enjoyed her because of that. I enjoyed her here, and I'm gonna enjoy her rehash of an origin story in her show.
There it is. So, Fantastic Four. I mean, Oz, how did you feel about the art?
I mean, It was fine. Like I
The end.
don't know what you want to say.
No, I
It
don't. I
wasn't
don't want
like
you to say anything
amazing,
except
but
how you feel.
it wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't supposed to be either. It's just supposed to be, you know, regular comic book art and look good. You know, the scenes that are wacky with a big thing going like that look a lot more like the Sunday morning newspaper comic strip, and then the pages that are more regular look better. And I mean, there's not a
Right.
whole lot I could say about the art. It's there. It had
Okay.
art.
It did, in fact, have art. That is a
Was there
fact.
any panel you didn't like?
Any panel?
Yeah, like anything that threw you off. Like I know I fixated on the brow. Like that was a big thing for me reading this. Is there anything like that for you?
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, I might have saw the brow and just didn't like it. Didn't hit me like it hit you. But I don't read a lot of Fantastic Four comics like you do either, so I don't see a lot of drawings of the thing.
Yeah, me neither.
It, it looked fine to me. No,
Yeah.
there wasn't anything that, and I mean, you guys know me. Like, if something is bad, I'll mention it, even if it's like this guy's pinky was facing the wrong direction or whatever.
That's one of
Right.
the pages.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
This is where you.
I don't know if it's just that I got into the story so much that I didn't notice it, or maybe it wasn't there. But I can't think of a bad panel.
No, I thought the art was pretty good, and I should also mention that the artist is it's Michelle, right? Michelle. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's Iban Coelho. Coelho. It's Coello. How do you say that?
CLE?
No, COELLO.
CLE? Kaylee.
No.
It's Irish. Kaylee. It's Kaylee.
So yeah, Iban Coelho, Coello, and then the color artist is Jesus Abertov. So
Jesus
yeah,
what?
but
Hold
Abertov,
on.
ABU ABURTOV, Abertov
Okay.
or Abertov. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought the art was pretty good, and it's funny because like I said, I didn't even really notice when I was reading the book. I didn't notice like the cap
Brown.
kind of brow
Yeah.
thing, but yeah, you're right. Like it's supposed to be a ridge, but that's not really a ridge. It's like pointy.
There's certain things like maybe it's my fault for like buying the book like Draw Comics the Marvel way,
Yeah,
and
I love
it's like
and Thing is prominently
I
featured in that book.
yeah, I really like focus on the brow and the head shoulder
Yeah.
ratio,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
there's people that change it up. Even the movie, like the bad movie, like it had a good characterization, it had a pretty good
Right.
design for the thing. It needed a brow.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Michael. Wait, which one is the bad one? You talk the original Michael. Well, not the
Michael
original, but
Chiklis, yeah.
like which bad one? I don't know. Right, Michael Chiklis. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael
I don't
Chiklis
even know
definitely
what
needed a brow.
in Fan Fantastic, like I don't know what the thing looks like in that. Like I haven't seen it at all.
It looks like a pile of rocks, but moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, what I can say for me, this book was not what I was expecting, but I'm happy that I got to read it, and I'm interested to see what happens next. So, you all got anything else you want to say before we rate it?
Nah.
All right, Oz, what would you rate Fantastic Four number one.
I'll give it a 5. It's good. I couldn't find anything.
There you go. There you go. Moses Magnum, what would you rate Fantastic Four number one?
With all the criticisms and the flow of everything, like if I just forget it's a issue 1, it's definitely a 5. As an issue 1, it's 4. Like that knocks it down. Like this is not the issue 1 of a Fantastic Four that I would get. The story itself is actually really good, and I wish it was just I don't know. Maybe I've been watching too much Star Trek. Like I just needed a little more explanation, because at the end of the day, a lot of these scientific adventures with the Fantastic Four are procedurals, so you do need a little bit of that, and this didn't have that. It just threw it off and gave you like the good shit, the good character shit, sacrificing the science shit. And at the beginning, like you put that list of what Fantastic Four is. Fantastic Four, right before any of those, is sci-fi. And it has to have some kind of scientific basis to it. And this book didn't have that. So yeah, it loses a point. It's a 4.
There you go. There you go. I give it 4.5. I really liked it. I think the only thing I would knock is that, I feel like the expectation is that you would have everybody in the book. Even if they're not together, you would think that you would get like, okay, well, where is everyone? And while that expectation was subverted, and also too, I feel like it was subverted in a very positive way. I still like. I don't think I wouldn't. It's hard for me to give it a 5 because I feel like that's a very reasonable expectation that you would get all of the Fantastic Four in the first issue of Fantastic Four. So for that reason, I got to give it a 4.5 out of 5. But personally, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it set a tone where I'm just like, dude, like I'm really excited for this next iteration of Fantastic Four to see where it goes and how it ends up coming together. Because I think that if you can surprise me in issue 1, then who knows? Like down the line, you very well might have like a master plan that I'm like, oh, you know what? I did not see any of this coming. So that's interesting. So cool. All right. So man, we're here at a tight 2:38. Like anybody got anything else they want to talk about before we get out of here?
James Gunn is teasing Mr. Terrific.
Why?
I don't know. Like he just posted a
that
picture.
Seems like a weird thing to tease. Like where's he teasing that? Like I'm
Twitter.
saying like no, but I'm
Elon
saying like
Musk.
that's gonna be No, but I was like that's gonna be teased for Black Adam versus Superman or or like Justice League, Flash. Like where are we looking?
Why can't he have his own thing? Why?
Well, I'm asking the question. That's what I'm saying. Like, are we having a Mr. Terrific movie?
Why not?
Well,
Listen,
I mean, but
you're saying it to me like I'm the reason why we wouldn't have one. Like, we could have been made a Mr. Terrific movie, but it hasn't happened. So
I think a Michael Holt movie sounds terrific.
Yeah.
Look, I said the same thing about why we need a Peacemaker TV show. And
No,
it was great.
listen, I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. I'm saying that's not like teasing Mr. Terrific doesn't sound like to me like, oh, a Mr. Terrific movie. Is that what he's teasing?
Why not?
Mo?
I don't know. He just posted a picture of an Alice Ross painting of Mr. Terrific, and everybody's saying, "Oh, do this. I'll throw this person hat in the ring for the cast." I just told him, Shuri already had the T-spheres, so you can't, like you gotta. What are you gonna bring new to like at this point? If you do a Mr. Terrific, you gotta bring something innovative. You can't just Shazam it, And that's
that
like
mean?
I saw that.
Shazam it.
Well, that Shazam movie, it just felt like I haven't watched it, but if they just threw it in and hope it sticks and it got a sequel, and then I saw the trailer finally for the sequel, the full trailer before Wakanda Forever. You should not put that movie before Wakanda Forever. Like you're literally doing yourself a like it is. It looks. It looks fucking like I don't know. Like I mean that's where my comic fan like shit like kind of dies. My spirit dies. Where it's like this is a character I love, and it's not it's just not good. Like I can't see any hope for anything good to come out of it. My brother, Larry, my brother, he says it's like one of his top 5 DC movies. But I'm like, fuck you. Like that's why I don't talk to him anymore.
Wait, what movie?
The Shazam. Like he loves Aquaman. He loves Shazam. Yeah.
Like Levi Shazam.
Yeah, he loves it. He's like, I like
it. He can't have my name.
He says, I like it because it's funny. And I'm like, I mean, look, like, yeah, he's going to church now too. He's a born again Christian, so that's what I blame it on. Yeah.
So, Oz. Oh no, you already did it. Yeah, no, we already did. No, we're good. Yeah, okay, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're in the news section. I did. There was what's the other thing? There was another news story I kind of want to talk about, but I forgot. Like I don't have it here. It doesn't matter. I can do wrap up music real quick.
All right, let's do it.
Let's see, where is? Hold on, let me.
What do we do with that wonderful wrap up music?
No more.
All right, Oz, give me some final thoughts, man.
It's funny that you guys kept bringing up Alex Ross and like the cover for the book with Alex Ross. Because I spent like half a day trying to purchase this statue.
Yeah.
And I've been working on this tomorrow too.
Damn, it's rough. Most Magnum, final thoughts.
I don't know what there's more to say. I said everything I wanted to say already. Fuck Christ, Akukulkan, all that. FedEx, there, thank God. I said all that. But yeah, subscribe, like, hit the bell. I'm gonna be playing this whole week on Marvel Snap. I'm gonna be playing Hex deck. He sent me his deck code, and I got my first win. I'm gonna start recording them, and I'll give you a video of what my week is like playing with Hex deck. So,
what kind of deck is it?
It's definitely like the tutorial deck. Like it's
gotcha.
It's the tutorial deck.
It's what I think he just started, but he put his code, and I said last week, put your code. I'll play it. So I'm playing it. I got my first. I played it once today with his deck, and I won. So I'm gonna do. I'm screen capturing those, so hopefully I'll have a video for you sometime next week of my experience playing with Hex deck. And
nice.
And you can send me your decks at send them an email, fantasticforum@gmail, or on any social media DM. I'll get it. I can copy and paste from anywhere.
Right. For the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you. We'll be back next week. Or actually, I don't know. Like, I got to find out. Actually, I got to talk to Oz and find out if we're going to take off for Thanksgiving or not. But either way, we'll be back. So whether it be in 1 week or 2. But until then, like Moses said, let us know what you're doing, what it is you like, what you don't like. Hit us on all the social platforms, Fantastic Forum, at everything. And, we will make sure that we check it out and talk back, because that's what we do here. Until next time, we're the Fantastic Forum. Good night.